messing up the music as usual. Welcome to the Sac Exchange here in lovely northeastern Anjou. It is eastern, right?
It's very eastern.
Peasy? Is
Absolutely.
it eastern?
It's as eastern as it gets almost.
Well, you have here, then RDP, right? And then
Point
what's
Autonome.
next? Yeah, there you go. And that's it. You're done.
Yeah, so it gets
all the same.
So the island gets really skinny.
Well, for you now, we are pretty well versed in this part of town. For a guy who doesn't even know what's East End,
Okay, just
Matt
get into it, man. Just get into it.
how is it working at VRL?
Oh,
Getting
man.
personal this week.
No, honestly, he wants to start with me right away. It's gonna end bad. Go for it. Let's go.
Well, you are a VRL worker, right? You serve
Absolutely not. It's
cookies and
CP
tea?
Rail, VIA Rails. Anyway, it's not even the point. I'm not gonna get into it with you. You wouldn't even understand.
Anyway, speaking of not understanding, let's get into Div A, opening drive. Glads and, of course, the Legends. The Glads winning 36-24. The score not indicative of what the game was. You were there. I was there. We got bored after the first 10 plays.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
Well, whatever it is. Frank LeBeau, 4 TDs, 3 INTs. Corey Pecker, 3 TDs, 3 INTs. Now, in the first half alone, both teams combined for 7 turnovers. Very ugly football, need I say.
Oh yeah.
Was this, in your mind, for the Legends coming off a big win over Maniacs, humble pie for them? Because it seemed like Dave Chidiat back in the lineup, no Carmen Police, though.
Yeah.
That it seemed like they had an opportunity to really seize momentum, be 2-0 heading to week 3.
You and your humble pie. I don't even know what that is. I mean, it probably
Tastes awful.
well, piece of stupid cake. I think you had, but whatever.
Well,
no, absolutely not. They didn't think they were gonna go 10-0.
Yeah, but a team like the Gladiators, who they probably will compete for maybe a 3 or 4 spot in the playoffs,
In
need
your
to get-
opinion,
remember, you've yet to play you guys
exactly.
and the finals.
They play
4 times
everybody
left.
twice,
Right.
right?
So if you're going to get these wins now, you can't lose now, can you?
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's a learning curve for them. They're coming in first time in Div A. It's going to happen. I mean, it was a sloppy game, and they need to take advantage of it. But it is what it is. They're learning. That's all it is. And no Carmen Police. I mean, he's not even going to be there for the rest of the season. They have to get used to it.
Well, we'll see if Dave Chidiat will be there for the rest of the year.
Well, it's going to be up and down with them, but they're learning, so don't worry about it.
Can you name me the entire Glads roster?
No, close to it, but no.
Okay, how many players can you name right now? Not name Lever and LeBeau.
Kay Jerome, Alex Nadeau-Pius, Simon Réaume,
You're terrible.
Bergeron.
PZ, can you name the roster, please? I know you can name it instantly speaking.
I don't want to make Matt look bad, so I'm gonna refrain.
Thank you. See?
Yeah.
If it was you,
He's my boy. I look after him.
He's a little tired from VRL, serving those cookies to
I'm
the
off
customers.
today. Anyway, just
How impressed are you by their start, though? 2-0. Big win over Legends. And they get a big week 1 win as well over the Rainmakers. 2-0.
I'm more impressed in the fact that they dismantled the Rainmakers the way they did. Legends, I mean, they should have won.
It was sloppy, though.
What, the Rainmakers?
No, the week 2 win over
Oh,
the
yeah,
Legends.
but it doesn't matter. A win's a win.
Well, if they were playing, say, you guys or the finest,
Yeah, but it's not the point. You start off the season 2-0. It's a good start. Whether you win 31-30 or 51, whatever it was, it doesn't matter.
well, speaking of doesn't matter, Div B, lightweights versus the commission. Now, you and I were both there. We spent a lot of time this week together.
That's probably why. Never mind. Let's go.
I'm just saying. We spent a
don't-
lot of time together.
I'm not going to games
lightweight
anymore.
winning 34-31. Again, the score not indicative of being so close. It was pretty much done after the first half. Maybe the Marco Masiotra effect, of course, with him playing with lightweight Simon Dagenet, 5 TDs, 151 yards passing. And the commission's defense gave up 28 points in the first half. In your mind, the way he was strutting out there and the confidence that he had, was this a coming out party for Simon Dagenet, albeit there was some added help with Marco Masiotra catching footballs?
Well, when you can throw up a ball in Aked Moore's direction and someone else comes down with it other than Aked, you're getting help. Marco did that, I think, twice. And then Simon strutted off the field like Johnny Bravo with his hair.
Oh, like Ric Flair.
No, like Johnny Bravo. And he was all happy, but if Marco's going to play the rest of the season, they're going to do well.
How many wins do you think they get with Marco Masiotra? Or even yourself, Matt Kerouac, who I believe could be on their radar?
I could be. I'm not confirming it.
What's the issue?
Time.
Yeah, but you
Simon-
spend time with yours truly on the sidelines, so you can have time for these guys.
Yeah, well, just the way Simon strutted off the field, I don't know if I want to. But I'm probably playing this Sunday, so yes. If they have Marco the whole season, I'll give him 6 wins.
With Matt Kurak and Marco Masiocha, 7 wins maybe?
7.
Okay.
Just a keynote: if the entire lightweight roster is there, and we're going to touch a little bit on this later, I believe, Mo. But if the entire lightweight roster is there, Matt Kerouac and Marco Masiocha don't fit under the cap for lightweight.
Yes, we do.
Well,
Not if the whole team is
Simon
there.
Dagenet
I ran that
stated, he told me that he can fit 2 90-plus players. So
Maybe he should get better at math.
Maybe he should. Well, look at his incompletions, right? Not very good anyway.
Obviously.
If I told you Zan Simons went 4 for 11 for 63 yards and 2 TDs, and Dylan Taylor went 6 for 9 for 94 yards, 3 TDs and 1 INT, which QB do you think he played in the second half?
Well, considering I was there, I know. So you're probably better off ask Pease, but with those numbers, I would think Zan might have been there in the first half, but
He was late because he forgot his football.
But coming into a game at halftime, yes, you're a little rattled from being late as it is. I mean, the poor guy. Don't stop ragging on people.
No, but hold on here. If you're Brent Bach, and I'll ask you, Pease, maybe Eagle, you want to call your 2 cents in here. If Dylan Taylor has those first half stats, which he did, almost 100 yards, 3 TDs, 1 INT, don't you want to stick with that guy going into the second half, considering again that, hey, the chemistry's been developed with him and the guys already on the football field?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But do you know the guys from commission?
Yeah,
Do you know Zan?
Yeah.
You think he's going to let some other quarterback run his team?
Yeah, but you come in halftime, though. Pease, what do you think?
They've had issues with Zan now for a little while at quarterback, but I'm of the belief that if you made the decision to go with a guy at quarterback, he doesn't get better by not playing. So these are the first couple of weeks. This is the time of the season where he's got to work out the kinks. If you've made the decision to go with Zan, you got to go with Zan. To me, there's no quarterback issue. You've made a decision coming into the season.
I go with Dylan Taylor all the way through for that week, because you come late, you don't have that chemistry, you're rushing your warm-ups, you get into the game, and you're literally behind the 8 ball.
But Zan's a seasoned quarterback. He's played on a lot of teams. If it was you quarterback, I would keep the other guy in, Dylan Taylor in.
If you were rushing me, I'd go in right away.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's say hypothetically you don't come. Let's say you don't go play for lightweights.
In general,
Well, that's a general statement anyway. Who do you think they should look at then as targets to add to Marco Masiocha and many others who might play for them?
so just to give you a frame of reference, Matt, with Marco, their cap is on offense 473.5 and on defense 483.4. So they can sign a player who is 93.2 on offense and 84.7 on defense.
So, yeah, I don't fit.
No, you don't.
I fit on defense, not on offense.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's you do fit if other players are like if they're missing one other guy,
Yeah.
like they are this weekend. But on let's say like season wide, if they have this is the cap hit if they have their full roster with Marco
Okay.
every week.
Well, I'm not going to be there every game anyway, so it works. Here we go.
Via
Who they
real
look for?
commitments?
Me. Or Marco.
Via real commitments for yourself?
Yes, via real commitments. Jesus.
The
make sure.
so I did a bit of research, Mo. The list of players that I saw that would fit the cap given these numbers and guys who play on one team currently. I dig up Brian Lariviere, Sean Haney, Mike Harrington, Matt Patron. The question I had for you guys is, which of these 3 do you think would fit, or which of these 4 rather, do you think would fit Simo and his system
I
best?
just want to know which of these 4 know who Simon Dagenet is before we can talk
None,
about
probably.
None. No.
it. Who's this Simon who? Dagnes?
Dagnus. But let's say on a cold call and all of them would say yes, who do you think would fit best in that
I'm going
system?
Petroni, just because of my boy.
But yeah, I think that would make logical sense with Marco and him having that rapport.
Yeah.
So I would go with him. The other 3 I don't think would fit. Schematically speaking, I don't think they would do.
Mike Harrington has too much energy for Simon.
Yeah.
Way too much
I can
energy.
see that actually.
Way too much.
Yeah. Last game, Monstars Predators. The Stars winning 31-25. Rod Mashtub, 5 TDs, 3 INTs. James Floriani, J-Flo, 3 TDs, 1 INT. 4 different Monstar players caught 1 TD in the game. Could this be a divisional final preview when we talk about this in early August?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I didn't give too much love to the Monstars last week. They proved me wrong again. And unlike other announcers, I don't like being proven wrong, but keep it up. Yeah, I mean, Monstars look good. They do. Predators, but they've been known to win, so one game's not going to, throw them in the ditch and they're done. So, like you would think for the finest.
Yeah, well, they have issues themselves
Like
with
Mo
their
with
defense.
That's what I said. I
Well,
pointed
they-
at Mo.
they have
Just
issues
for
with their
half the
defense.
audience, it's a radio audience.
Doesn't matter. I'm pointing at him now.
Well, look, they have issues with their defense. Another topic to discuss
okay.
another
Yeah,
day.
another
More
day.
valuable Monstar. Is it Ryan Aridi or Mashtub? Aridi having 3 sacks last week. Albeit, though, he's been a great player the last couple years in FPF.
Well, I always give love to rushers, but when you're comparing with a quarterback, it's got to be the quarterback. It's not necessarily like Ryan can't control a game just by rushing every single game. It depends on the quarterback. Depends what the other quarterback does. If your offense isn't producing, i.e. Rod, then you're not going to win games. So Rod.
You mentioned the Preds before. Are they inconsistent? The lack of size. They have a lot of speed. They have speed to burn with the Honey Badger, Jacob Burnett, and others included. SBB as well. But are they too inconsistent for your liking?
I know we always come back to the same thing with chemistry and whatnot. I don't think they've built enough yet where the Monsters have been together for a long time. Yeah, they're a little bit too inconsistent. And I think J-Flow is still getting the hang of the higher divisions, right?
Yes, Eagle.
Yes. Whoop-a-lay.
Really?
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 Can you guys hear me? Yeah, we're good. I was speaking to James Floriani on Monday night, and he was saying they were having some chemistry problems, so trying to understand where they're going to be, and the team just hasn't been gelling yet, so that's something they're still
See, I
working
didn't even know that.
Don't forget you can tweet us at Moco19. Matt Kirak, your handle?
Matty Kerouac.
Yes.
At Matty Kerouac.
At Matty Carrick. Of course, at Flag Plus, hashtag the word FPF, or go on our Facebook wall. And of course, PZ Delarizi puzzles.
Only you say that. Mo.
That is not even funny.
It's not. But it's okay. I'll smile and pretend.
Fair enough then. By the way, a little food for thought here. I have a photo for Division A tampering here. I'll
I
put it
have
on
no
the
idea
camera.
what you're talking about.
See the camera right there, guys? Eagle, do you have that on the camera? Do you see that, PZ? Who's that
Show
trying
me.
to sign a contract with you know who?
Show me.
I see Rushdie is
Oh, it's
clearly
me?
implicated.
Well, no, it's not Rosh.
Me? Is
No,
this
I
a
have-
picture
you
of
have
me?
the tiniest phone of all time.
Here. Who is that trying to sign a Ken Moore?
let me take a look.
It's for sure me.
I see Matt Kerouac actually.
Yeah. Trying to say, see that paper? The
Using-
smiling? Is that tampering?
You mean this paper?
I'm just saying, is that tampering? Yes or no?
And I would say actually we have to check with the FPF compliance committee to see if Matt as a media member is even allowed to be trying to recruit.
That little powwow they have will look pretty intimate in terms of maybe trying to snatch away at Ken Moore for the R&D roster.
You're still cheesy over the fact that I took your spot on finance, aren't you?
No, not really.
I say
No,
Roosters
you
and
are.
Donkeys lose a draft pick because of this.
Maybe. Okay,
And
should
maybe a
have a
scholarship. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
let's talk about Div A and Div B. After 2 weeks, we have a bunch of 2-0 teams and 0-2 teams.
sir.
Most surprised the Rainmakers are 0-2 or that the Glads are 2-0?
I'm going to go with the Glads being 2-0, considering that they played the Rainmakers, team that's been in Div 1 and A their entire life as a team. And they came out of the gates firing. I mean, they destroyed the Rainmakers. Crappy one last week against the Legends, but I mean, they have potential. Right? I mean, Rainmakers have done this before. They went 4-0, I think, this winter, and then lost 4 straight after, and still.
But you know what, though, Matt? When I look at the Rainmakers, they scored 53 in a losing cause.
Against the finest.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's crazy to think that, right?
And he threw 2 back-to-back pick sixes.
That's the difference with them winning
That's the
and
difference.
losing.
Absolutely. I mean, you put up 53 points. You're doing damage against any team, let alone the finest.
And I find that you put up 53, and it's a pretty much fully loaded roster. Teddy Fournette's there.
Yeah.
CA's now making his first appearance, rushing and essentially having a great game on both sides of the football here. It's a wasted performance. It really is.
Well, yeah, because I mean, at this point, Rainmakers aren't going to get any better than they already are, right?
Well, look, for the Rainmakers, their next game against the Legends, right? Then they have
That's
the
a statement
Roosters
game.
and Donkeys in 2 weeks' time, and then they play the Maniacs and Glads. So they can definitely maybe get some wins along the way here. But for the Glads, they got R&D, your team next week, Maniacs, Finest, and Rainmakers afterwards. So their road right now, the next 4 games at least, a lot tougher than the
Absolutely.
Rainmakers.
The Rainmakers, next week against the Legends, a new team coming into Div A, they need to show them that Div A is not as easy as it seems. Even though the Legends didn't want to come into Div A, they got to make their mark to say that we've been here for a long time,
Right.
And
Now-
they're not going to beat us.
Now, let's put it this way. Let's say the Rainmakers were to lose this week.
Yeah.
They go 0-3. Maniacs say were to lose this week, they go 0-3. How much trouble is each of these teams in if they're 0-3 once it's all said and done by the time we converse next week?
Well, from what I'm hearing from El Presidente there, it's 5 of the 6 teams make playoffs.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking at Maniacs and Rainmakers are going to push through and be able to come back and make that last playoff spot, if not 4th place. Whereas Maniacs, they have trouble finishing games, and
It was evident against you guys.
yeah, that's it. But I mean, I think it's going to be a battle at the bottom 3 for sure. I mean, Rainmakers, if they're in it, are going to come out on top over Maniacs.
And by the way, for those curious to know, in Div A, the playoff format is top 5, 4 versus 5 play-in, and then they would play the 1 seed, whoever that might be, maybe you guys, by the time end of July rolls around. Monstars, 6 Fast Guys are both 2-0. What's more impressive, Monstars or 6 Fast Guys?
I'm going to, like I said, I didn't give much love to Monstars, so I'm going to say them, considering they're moving up. 6 Fast Guys were, from what I saw in last season and previous seasons, they've been the stronger out of the 2. So I'm going to say Monstars being 2-0 is the surprise for me.
Peasler, you're at Div B. You know some of the teams in Div B very well from your time playing them in past seasons. Who's more impressive in your opinion? Well, whatever. You know what I'm saying. More impressive in your mind. 6 Fast Guys or Monstars, both 2-0. They've had their ups and downs in Div B up till now here, but hey, they're undefeated up till now.
To be honest, both surprised me for specific reasons. One, Monsters are a team I haven't given a lot of love to. With that being said, Rod Mashtub has improved season after season, so I guess by this point I should stop being surprised by Monsters. For 6 Fast Guys plus Ryan or 6 plus R, whatever they're calling themselves these days, I'm surprised just because this is a team without their number 1 receiver.
Justin Blanchard.
Yeah, and a huge impact player on defense as well, Justin Blanchard. So I don't even think they're playing that well when you see the final product. I think they're good, they're competitive, they're winning games, but they're not a dynamic team right now without Justin in the lineup.
But then again, they picked up Omar, and Omar's doing damage.
Omar Jackson, yeah.
Omar Jackson.
Sure.
I gave him crap last week. Not crap. I kind of tested him, asking for a pick.
And he got it.
First play of the game, he picked it up.
Got it, yeah.
Didn't take it for 6 like I asked, but it doesn't matter.
Well,
Still got to show him
slacking
love.
off. No, but just having that chemistry with quarterback Fred Vien and how Justin works within the 6 plus R system, to me, I think that he'll have a huge impact on that team when he gets back.
Monstars next couple of games, Wolverines, Bearskins Commission, 6 plus R. They have lightweight Commission Wolverines, so 2 common games along the way here. Div B parity. We talk about the parity, or is it terrible play in Division Conference A in Division East over here. 4 teams are 1-1, 1 team at 0-2. Let's look at it this way here. In your mind, is it parity or is it lack of teams having the
Conference A is definitely parity for sure. I feel like that 1, 2, 3 spot is going to fluctuate 3-4 times within the season for sure. Conference B is a little bit different. I think that the top tier guys are going to distance themselves from the pack halfway through the season. But A is for sure parity, for sure.
Well, you look at it this way, right? So far, the games involving Division A this year has been decided by more or less a touchdown. So no one's really been blown out.
Division A or Conference A?
In Conference A, pardon me, in Division B. No one's been blown out. It's been evidenced by what we've seen so far through 2 weeks here. But whether you're the Commission at 0-2 or whether you're the Wolverines, Bearskins included here at 1-1, at some point, obviously, everyone's going to play each other. We'll see a separation. But do you think it will be now we see the separation, or will it be more towards the middle at the end of the year?
I'm thinking by halfway you're going to see more in Conference B more or less where everything's going to be set up. And Conference A, like I said, it's going to fluctuate all year round, up, down, everywhere, 1, 2, and 3 for sure.
Could 6 wins be enough to win the division for Conference A?
Yep, absolutely.
So you think, so that way that you're implying is that, hey, 6 wins and everyone else will be 500 or below then?
It might even come down to a tie break, I think, in Conference A.
It's possible just because the amount of interplay in Division B, because everyone pretty much plays each other, there's a lot of cannibalism that can occur.
Yeah.
Not talking about people's preferences in food, of course, but rather within the division.
Well, you never know. Eagle likes to eat...
He's eating cookies. Leave him be.
Are those
I love
what
my
type of
cookies.
Eagle, you enjoy the cookies?
If Eagle eats chicken, is that cannibalism?
Is it? I don't know. It's your cousin. Is it not?
I've been hanging out with Mo too long.
I don't think eagles and chickens are related. I mean, they're both birds, but
Bird of prey,
Poultry?
maybe?
a chicken's not a bird of prey.
No, I'm saying that you beat an
What, I'm
eagle.
going to eat a falcon for dinner.
Religious chicken
Maybe.
spray.
Maybe eat a Seahawk.
Good one.
Again, for the audience that is listening and not watching the podcast, Matt Kerouac is wearing a Seahawks cap. It's almost like Mo doesn't do this for a living.
No, CJAD doesn't pay you well enough, I guess.
I don't know. Maybe I'll work at Via Rail. Maybe you can get me into Via Rail.
You can't. You're not. I explained this to you already. Never mind. You need to be a man to work there.
Sure, no problem. 1v1. For those who don't know, this is an idea that Matt Kerouac has suggested, which essentially is a ripoff of TSN's 1 versus 1, where you have more or less the play of the day versus the play of the day.
But it's not that at all, and
No.
we're not voting for who's better.
No, we're not.
I have the stats to tell you who's better.
We're doing a stat-based segment here, a 1v1, where we put two players from the same conference or same division head-to-head, whether it's quarterback versus quarterback, receiver versus receiver, defensive player versus defensive player, rusher versus rusher. Who knows what it is?
Well, what we're going to do is we most likely will try and vote on who next week's 1v1s should be, quarterback versus quarterback, like you said.
Right.
So we'll put that up on the flag site and go from there.
Fair enough, then. And, of course, we did post up that question. The week 1 battle here, Pat Jerome, of course. We know him very well, playing with the Triple Sixers and now with the Gladiators and many teams in between that, versus Kedmore, who everyone knows is a Montreal's finest / DA's finest. Now, I'll throw you the microphone here, Mr. Kerouac.
All right.
The 1v1, stats-wise, let's go with Pat Jerome first.
All right. So Pat Jerome has 161 games played in FPF since 2009. Like I said, this is all stats from 2009 till the
Yeah, if it's
present day.
before the website, it doesn't
Before-
matter.
Yeah, no one remembers what I've
Any awards you
on
won
the
doesn't
eighth.
matter.
Yeah.
Me, whatever, it's fine.
And this is an accumulation of winter and spring.
Everything. If you've played a game, any game, if you played one game for a team, it's all calculated.
All right, so here we go. Pat Jerome stats.
Only regular season, right?
Only regular season too. That's right.
Impressive.
Yeah. 161 games played. It's got 595 receptions for 9,444 yards and 266 TDs.
How many TDs again?
266. So
He's averaged one TD for almost every second catch.
I got the career per game stats.
Yes.
He's averaging almost 59 catches per game. 59 yards per game for all of 3.5 receptions per game and 1.65 TDs per game
So
for his
almost
entire career.
every second catch is almost a TD. then.
Basically, that's ridiculous.
Okay, not bad. Let's go with Kedmore.
Not as great stats, but 123 games played, 469 receptions for 5,416 yards and 144 TDs. So it's a little bit less. He's got about 44 yards per game,
Okay.
3.8 receptions, so he's
Okay.
better than Pat there,
Yeah.
and 1.17 TDs.
All right, let's look at it from this perspective now. Pat Jerome has been the #1 target for many quarterbacks, correct?
Correct.
With Montreal's finest, the DA's finest, there are many #1 targets, so I guess this ball is spread evenly depending on the matchup that Kevin Wyeth likes.
Yeah.
All right, so the question is, in our 1v1, who would you take, Pat Jerome or a Kedmore? I start with you, Peasler.
If I was building a team called World's Finest or Montreal's Finest or
or Anjou's finest?
Anjou's Finest, I like Pat Jerome. I've always been a huge fan of his. Of the two, I like the style of play of a Kedmore. I just like the big physical athlete that he is, and the fact that he, like you were talking about earlier, Matt, if the ball goes up in the air, usually it's a kid who's coming down with it. So, for my 2 cents, I say a kid.
And even though I didn't do the stats, playoff-wise, this guy's been a beast in Division 1, where Pat's played 4-3-2, ABC, he's done them all. So Aked's been a force to be reckoned with.
The
in
degree of
Division
difficulty a lot tougher in Division 1 and
Absolutely.
2 than...
And I got a quote actually from Kevin Wyeth, sent me through saying that they're both beasts, no one's better than the other, and they're both deadly in their own kind of way.
Well, remember, Wyatt did play with both.
Both. He's played with both,
2
so he knows.
springs ago. I believe it was 2 springs ago.
Yeah. I was on the team.
Eagle, who do you
I
have?
was on the team.
Were you? I didn't realize that. Eagle, who do you have?
I actually played against Pat Jerome in our first season when he was playing Division C Triple Sixers.
Yes.
And ever since then, I've kind of despised him a little bit because he blew us out like 48-0.
Yeah, he'll do that.
So I'm going to go with Akedmore on this one.
Okay, so we have one at Kedmore, and Peasy going to go with Pat Jerome. It seemed like you were going both here.
You know what? because I keep remembering this one play by Pat Jerome. It was when he was with Terror Squad.
The pick
Yes.
six.
The pick six to end the game, and that kind of lives with me. You know what? Aked's a too popular pick. I'm going with Pat Jerome.
Okay, so-
that play, you know what? It just burns a hole for me. I felt bad at first when I was talking to Aked. I said, you know what? I was talking him up, and then it just kept reminding me in the back of my head that there's that play, dude. Like, come on, this is a two-way beast.
Winter
I'm
2013, I think.
I believe it was. It was winter 2013.
Goes for the extra. Gladiators go for the extra point to win the game, and he returns it for 6.
And for those who recall, Frank LeBeau thought he was interfered on the rush.
He wasn't. I watched it.
I know.
Oh,
All right, so who do you have then, Mac Urak?
Having played with both and against both, I got to go with the kid. Just the bigger body. Makes those moves that just destroy you. Marco can tell you.
Oh, yeah, he's burnt it for a few TDs here and there, right?
Where I think Pat's more of an up and down straight runner, fast. Or
A go
kid-
route runner.
Yeah, and a kid could just beat you in the middle of the field, cut you up, and take you for 40. So
All right, I will go with Aked Moore. I think Pat Jerome is a fantastic player, but let's look at it this way. The bulk of his production has come against lower talented teams or lower caliber teams
don't
as
say
well.
that. Pease might get upset.
No, I'm not excluding Peasy. And the Eagle as well. I'm just saying.
No, don't insult his Division C or his Division 4.
Anyway, 3-1, Aked Moore versus Pat Jerome. You go on the Facebook wall. You can give us your 2 cents in the 1v1. Who do you have? Pat Jerome, Aked Moore. Reason why? Terry Tam, our very own Terry Tam, took Aked Moore. So it
Yes,
seems
he
like
did.
there are more Aked Moore lovers than Pat Jerome lovers. All right, Division B, we'll go Rob Mashtub against James Floriani. This year, or in his career, 4 times Floriani's passed for 49 TDs or more. However, he's never hit 2,000 passing yards, whereas Rob Mashtub has twice gone for 40-plus TDs in the season, but he's thrown a lot of INTs.
Yes, he has.
All right, Mac Urak, in your 1v1, for Division B, let's break down the numbers.
What do you want to start with, Rod?
We'll go with Hot Rod, Mashtub.
Rod? All right. He's got 44 games played. For this one, I did any game that they've played at least thrown at least one pass in the game.
Okay,
So there's other games that they've played they haven't thrown. So I didn't count those.
sure.
So 44 games played for 6,613 yards, 158 TDs, 71 picks, and sacked 41 times.
Okay,
So that averages out to 150 yards per game. Throws 3.5 TDs a game, but he throws 1.6 picks.
yeesh. That's
in
ugly.
Career stat, and he's sacked less than 1 time a game.
Okay, James Floriani, a.k.a. J-Flo.
Jay Flo's got double pretty much everything, but he's got 93 games played for 14,481 yards.
Passing, right?
Passing,
Okay, yeah, so make sure.
not running.
You never know.
All right. 389 TDs, 90 interceptions, and he's been sacked 98 times. And this is excluding this season. I didn't count this season.
Yeah, he's had it tough. He was sacked 3 times by a Reedy, so 101 times now.
101 times.
Yeah, over 100
So
times.
his career average is 155. It's 5 yards better than Rod.
Yeah,
Throws 4 TDs a game on average. Less than 1 pick, 0.96. But he gets sacked at least 1 time a game.
okay. All right, so 1v1. Mashtub versus Floriani. Peasler, who do you have?
Well, there's only one real quarterback in this conversation. It's Rod Mashtub. James Floriani, dude, I hate to say it, you're not a real quarterback. Stop pretending.
Wait a minute. I saw this week you and him were having a little powwow talking about whatever it was.
Yeah, I was insulting him as always. So he knows my stance on him. He knows I don't think much of him as a person, as a quarterback.
On and off the football field?
On and off, completely.
Okay.
Matt may not know this. I played with James in past seasons.
I think I do know
Okay,
that.
very good. Just making sure because you might think I'm meaner than I am.
No. We already know who you are.
Exactly. There we go. I'm going to say Rod just because I know the stats are what they're indicative of right now, but I think Rod's been getting better, or I think James has reached his ceiling. He's not a pure passer. He sort of tries to make a lot of plays happen, hence the sacks. So I'm gonna side with the Mashtub.
All right, Eagle, quickly here.
I've seen Mashtub play more than Floriani. I generally don't like his style. I find there's a lot of scramble plays, a lot of rolling out to try and beat the rusher, try and finding a guy downfield. I don't like his playbook as much. I think that kind of results in a lot of INTs, a lot of forcing balls, on the run. I kind of like J-Flo a little bit more. I find as much as he can kind of move around and shift around, his plays are designed for that type of style. So, he can kind of, I kind of think of like a Vinny Gualano type of style where he kind of runs around, stops on
Hold
a
on, hold
dime.
on. Say it properly, please.
Vinny Gualano.
Thank you.
But he kind of, he moves around, he stops on a dime, really checks it down to his receivers. So I kind of like J Flo's style more. But over the last few seasons, we've seen him get hurt. So his stats may actually have been hurting because of that. So I would actually say Flo might even have more stats than Mashtoub had he not been hurt for a few games.
Okay.
So what you're saying is he's soft.
Yeah, he is soft.
Nice. I haven't really seen either. Like I said, I'm not really familiar with the Div B guys, but from what I have seen, I'm going to stick with Peasy's. I'm going to go Mashtoub. Just because if Peasy don't like him, I don't like him.
Fair.
Well, I am wearing a Monstars bracelet, so my answer is pretty simple. Rod Mashtub. They're going to do well this year, Monstars.
there's
That's some
no reason
excellent
why.
analysis right there.
Yeah.
No,
Those are the
look,
braces.
I think this year he's come up with some gutty plays in the first 2 weeks of the season. You're right, though. His INTs definitely hurt him the last couple of years, but I think this year he's put it all together. This team is balanced on both sides, and I think this will help him elevate his game and become, finally, a championship quarterback potentially.
And next year, the biggest Monstars fan gets to join the team officially.
Maybe. You never know.
Who's that?
Mokan.
Don't.
No, Mashtoub's
Rod,
brother.
just do
Oh,
yourself.
Connor McDavid.
Okay, I was going to say, don't add Mo to any team.
Ever.
All right, finally here, setting the tone before we sign off. At this point in the season, are we now seeing which teams are going to pull away from the pack and set the standard moving forward?
Div B, yes. I mean, Div A, I think it's still up in the air. Div B, for sure, you're going to start seeing the guys that are pulling away.
Any teams in particular you think we should look out for as we move into the next couple weeks of the season?
Monstars on that side. On the other side, I'm going to say Bearskins.
Big win for them over the Wolverines.
That's a big win.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of kissed Tony Tibet's ass there by last week by saying Wolverines are going to take it. I'm saying Bearskins
Yeah,
now.
you ate some crow there. I'm the same.
Good
Is that what you
segment.
had for dinner?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, it is now time for Picks of the Week. A little reverse of direction here. This time, Peasler will ask the...
Well, because we decided that Mokan coming up with the spreads for the game and then picking a game is pretty, like, you got to be breaking some rules there.
Well, actually, my
FPF
spreads
called
are
in-
pretty accurate this year. I've only been off by
FPF called
12
the
points.
compliance committee, says you can't be picking the spreads and picking games also. So therefore, we're going to start off with Legends Rainmakers, 5.5 points for the Rainmakers. What are your picks?
You first, VRL.
I'm gonna take Rainmakers to cover.
I will interject by saying, Mokan, nobody gets the reference, but continue to make your pick.
It's because I work for CP Real and he's trying to insult me. It doesn't even make sense. Anyway, his jokes are horrible.
Fair.
Someone needs to write his jokes. So if you want to Facebook message him-
Rainmakers will cover the spread at
me
5.5 points, and they will obviously win this game. So give me the Rainmakers through and through.
Good for you.
This week, the Raiders take on the Commission.
Not the Oakland Raiders, the FPF version of the Raiders.
The Division 2 Raiders. The Wise Guys have the spread at 4.5 points. What do you guys say?
And before we answer the question, don't forget this game right now, whoever loses will be 0-3, and who knows what will happen that
Wise
point.
guys. Who?
Basically, me and Eagle. We had a couple of drinks, put up some random numbers, and that's what we went.
Raiders Commission, 4.5 points. Raiders,
Raiders are up 4.5.
favorites.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with Raiders on this one to cover.
Yeah, likewise.
Stop agreeing with me.
You're taking my answers.
Pease always disagrees with his co-host.
Okay, so you know what?
Regardless of what I
I'll go
actually believe.
first. I'll go first next time.
Fine, you go first.
Raiders quarterback Leon Holder is a lot more stable than what they have right now with Zan at quarterback.
But if Zan shows up before the game,
we'll see.
whatever, man.
All right, next game.
Next game, we have Bearskins Preds. The Bearskins are favored by 3.5 points. Your pick, Mokan.
All right, I'm going with the Bearskins. The Bearskins had a coming out party last week over the Wolverines. Neil Ensign played a fantastic game, clutch on 3rd and 4th down situations here. They will win and cover the point spread. It will be a fun game to watch, but give me the Bearskins.
Contrary to what I feel, I'm gonna take the Preds just because
Make a case for them, Matt.
Eagle took J Flo, so
But give us a reason why you think why they would win the game if they were to win and not cover, but why they would be why they would upset the Bearskins.
I'm gonna go back to quoting Mo Khan from the beginning of the season that Neil Ensign's gonna hold the Bearskins back. and I think this is the week that he's going to do it.
Okay.
I'm going to pretend there's nothing sexual in what you just said. The Glad and Roosters and Donkeys. I don't even know if Matt's allowed to pick
You
this
can't
game.
pick. I can
So
pick it.
I'll let Mo Khan do it, and then we'll get Eagles pick as well.
What's the cover?
The spread is 9.5 points for Roosters and Donkeys. That's a pretty big spread. I would imagine you're not glad about that spread.
Heyo.
Right.
I have. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I'm pretty glad by his response. I have R&D winning, but not covering the point spread. It'll be very close, high scoring affair. Eagle, you can make the pick for Kerouac.
I think they're gonna win and cover. I don't think the Glad they're gonna do well.
Remember, you are playing with Kerouac's money.
Am I?
Yes, you are. Unbeknownst to Matt.
Surprise!
Fair enough, then. Kerouac, what did you learn on today's episode?
Your jokes are horrible, man. We're going to need to do a Facebook ask a question there, the way they ask a question, and pick different jokes for you to say, because
All right.
No.
Okay, fair enough. Puzzles. What did you learn in today's episode?
Other than the fact that you're the only one who calls me Puzzles, I learned that Matt Kerouac seems to have a vendetta against Villarreal for reasons unknown to anyone else.
Maybe because you
My
work with
competition.
CNN. I don't know.
CP. Okay, forget it. I'm done with you.
Grand Trunk Railroad?
Southern, Grand Trunk Railroad. Is that who you work with now?
Grand Funk Railroad, perhaps.
Guys, fun.
Are you in my grade 10 history book? I don't know, maybe. Anyway, without further ado, I learned that Kerouac looks very tired from hammering those nails onto the railroad track. Get back to that, Kerouac. Thank you to Eagle, Peasler, Kerouac, myself.
Thank you.
Super Flag Bros coming up next here from lovely downtown Eastern Anjou. Good morning, London.
artist and you are the liar. But Slade, this is such a crock of shit. Your language, Mr. Slade. You are in the Barrett School, not a barracks. Mr. Sims, I will give you one final opportunity to speak up.
Mr. Sims doesn't want it. He doesn't need to be labeled. Still worthy of being a bad man. What the hell is that?
Super Flag Bros.
Super.
What is your motto here? Boys, inform on your classmates. Save your hide. Anything short of that, we're going to burn you at the stake? Well, gentlemen, when the shit hits the fan, some guys run and some guys stay. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket.
Super Flag Bros.
Sir, you're out of order.
I show you out of order.
Division 6 Podcast.
You don't know what
Division
out of order is,
6
Mr. Trash.
podcast.
I'd show you, but I'm too old. I'm too tired. I'm too fucking blind. If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place. Out of order. Who the hell do you think you're talking to?
These Delaries and P's Delaries.
I've been around, you know. There was a time I could see, and I have seen boys like these, younger than these, their arms torn out, their legs ripped off. But there is nothing like the sight of an amputated spirit. There is no prosthetic for that. You think you're merely sending this splendid foot soldier back home to Argonne with his tail between his legs, but I say you are executed.
Welcome everyone. You are listening to and perhaps watching Super Flag Bros. I am your host Pease Delaries, and I'm joined in studio in the Sportira cage with Deez Delaries. You can follow Deez at Dave's Republic.
Yeah.
Remember to hashtag FPF, so that way when we retweet you, you will appear on the website. And we are, of course, joined in studio with our producer, Mo Khan, the Slow Khan himself.
Mokan, who is using an iPad that's in a box. It's in the.
Yeah, he has no case, just in a box. It's
In a
not ghetto
box.
at all.
Not ghetto.
If there's a way to make an iPad ghetto, Mo Khan found it.
Explain it. 5 seconds.
Speaking of in the box, we all the Eagle and Master controlling our knobs and making it at the Sportira cage because if it's in the game. So let's look Div E this week, Deez. I want to say
Let's look into Div E every week.
every week, but specifically
Okay.
this week because time travel is not yet possible. But I was looking at watching some Div E games this week, and one thing I will notice, I did notice,
What'd you notice?
was that the intensity level in Division E games is insane.
Oh yeah.
It's absolutely crazy.
I feel like also the skill sets are like way different from last season.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're seeing it's interesting because there's a lot of difference from the top end to low end. So there's some teams really learning, as well as some more established players, guys trying different positions. But at the same time, I find every little mistake, everyone's freaking out like,
Oh, yeah.
"Hey, whose coverage was that?"
But
Or every big play or a big catch.
That's also what a lot of new teams do, right? They freak out over small things. Like
That's true.
You know?
And then you'll walk over to the next field where there's like Division A and B where like every play is expected to be made, and so no one makes a big deal on the nicest catch you've ever seen.
Oh, but there's still a lot of complaining in Division B.
Oh, there's complaining. I'm not saying
There's a lot of
complaining.
complaining.
I'm just saying it's a different vibe, and I kind of, for myself personally, I like the intensity, and you know what? I like that Division E is where people want to feel like once a week live in the NFL.
Are these new mics?
Extend.
So
Fantastic.
the
They look
updated
better.
mics.
They look polished. Good job. A+.
Because I don't know what he's wearing. It looks like a relic from 1976. You clearly bought that at Value Village.
No, was that a hipster store? Next.
Speaking of hipsters, the Falcons, who may or may not be hipsters, beat Smoke and Axles 25-12 in this game. Falcons got off to a slow start, but they scored 18 points in the second half. What can you say about this game?
I think in general, like we're seeing kind of what we thought we would see out of Falcons. They're
The
pretty
Falcons
strong.
are who we thought they were.
They are
Nice.
what they are. We thought they were. Dylan Garber so far having a pretty decent season. Just in general, didn't really have to rely too much on the on passing in general. It seemed like there's kind of like a game of a lot of rushes, an accumulation of about 100 yards rushing between both teams. So even more, about 160 yards. Wow,
That's intense.
That's really important. Really important.
Yeah, that's a big difference, and a lot of math being done there by these.
Food for thought. These guys from the Falcons
Yeah.
are former KHP Light players from last winter
True.
season, and one of the biggest issues was the quarterback play. But it appears they've had that figured out now with Garber at quarterback.
And for those listening, they were essentially a pretty decent team in a higher division. You know, coming into Division E might not have all the same pieces and whatnot, but still, like the attitude's the same. I'd imagine the play calling is pretty much the same.
And one thing that was good, even when they were KGP Light, was the level of athleticism. So I'm happy to see this group stay together. Happy to see them winning. So far, they're 2-0. Do you think that the Falcons can be a legitimate contender this early on?
Yeah, I think at this point too, like. They've kind of it's not their first rodeo, so they kind of know what kind of intensity to bring every week. They know what to match the team's intensity. We were just talking about that, how like there's just this different level right now in this division where it's like people are scared to make mistakes, whereas you know sometimes a team that's much more experienced, they're able to kind of to get past any kind of issues and whatnot. I'm really not talking into the mic.
Not at all. You're basically like you have your head in front of the mic.
Amazing.
Almost. It's bizarre.
But I don't want to take anything away from Jason Rossi either, and his smoking axes.
Well, that's what I want to ask you, because if for Smoking Axes, the Jason Rossi, who's an experienced quarterback, is struggling. He's thrown only 5 touchdowns and he's thrown 3 interceptions. What do you think the issue is here? Do you think it's just he's used to playing with his guys?
Yeah,
and these
probably.
guys are
But he
different,
still
or
has
do you
some
think
of
it's
his
a
guys, though.
talent level in general?
It could be a multitude of things. I think maybe it's a lack of familiarity, but you know, when you come up against a team like the Falcons that have a very good defense, it's tough to tell what exactly is the main issue. But whenever you're too reliant on a run, like it sort of shows like where you're at as a team. Like, you know, your guy, maybe your receivers aren't in the right positions at the right time. The rush is flustering you. Could be a couple of those things.
Just a little food for thought here. Of course, Jason Rossi has that.
More for thought.
Yeah, has a report with Scott Binns. Scott Binns has 3 TDs. The rest receiving core, 1 TD combined.
Damn.
And that's a roster of 10 guys.
Yeah, so there we go.
But that's the thing about Binns, though. Like, having covered him, pretty tricky guy to cover in general.
Yeah, Scotty's
hands.
faster than you think. He's
Very
got
good
good hands.
hands.
He's stronger than you think. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. The Los Guapos.
Los Guapos.
Clearly a team describing your Division E hosts.
Yeah.
They beat the Royalty 30-12. The Royalty have scored only 27 points in two games. Given the presence of the Sea Assassins players from higher divisions, as in Dan Lazara, Sean Florillo, do you think James Dandria will develop into an effective FBF passer this season, or will these offensive troubles continue?
No, I don't see them continuing. I think he's surrounded by the right guys, like being surrounded by a guy like Sakis or like Lazaro, like we were talking about, just in general, and even Terrence Dobson. Having those kind of players on your team make an incredible difference. So I think, like, and it's also it's really early in the season, and I hate how we do this always in terms of how we cover. Like,
It's
like,
almost like it's our job.
No, but I'm saying, like, we put a lot of stock into how these teams played in the first 2 games, and really, like, we see crazy progression throughout the season.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, this is the fun part of the season, because we can say whatever we
we
want,
want,
and
whatever
no
we
one's
want.
going to remember.
Whatever
So,
we want. Yeah.
do you think this guy's going to suck? Yes. Well,
Yeah.
no one's going to remember anyway, so just do it.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I don't even know what that means, but okay.
it's a millennial joke. You don't get these
No,
things, old
I'm
man.
way too
You
old
don't
for
get
this.
it.
Legally, you're fired. So, on the other hand, we've seen Patrick Maluth of Los Guapos. He's had, and I mean, it is Los Guapos, so let's just say it as it is. He's had some handsome performances.
My God.
Right?
Yeah,
Handsome.
but it's
Handsome.
it's cool to see that they're able to get production in different spots, you know. And to me, like, you know, when I think about a complete team, like, you know, when you're playing a 44-minute game, like having like multiple targets, having multiple players in your team that are playmakers, it's incredible, because you don't have to lean on the same 2 guys every game, you know, regardless of what the coverage is. Or, anyways, I think it's they feel like they're the team to beat. The Falcons obviously would be the popular choice in that spot, but definitely Los Guapos, great name. Anything that starts with Los always gets A+ from me. They are pretty handsome.
You kind of lost yourself there.
Yeah.
Kind of get away from you.
The food for thought for Los Guapos.
More for thought.
More for that.
Mo for thought. Their defense has yet to allow anyone to score 20-plus points. their defense has pilfered 6 balls, so 6 INTs amongst the entire defensive crew.
Yeah, who are they playing next? What's on next on the schedule?
They have TD and Beers. And TD and Beers have Young Allard, who had a fantastic game against Looney Goons last week. So if they're going to win this game, they got to stop Mr. Allard and hold that offense in check.
And they have the defense that has the potential to do that. So it'll be an interesting matchup to look forward to. Absolutely.
And in general, like their next upcoming games after that are pretty tough as well. So I think by week 5 we'll kind of have a better sense of where they are and what kind of a team they are as well. So
I also have a question about a gentleman by the name of Kevin Trufu. He's emerging as Los Guapos' main threat.
Experienced, I think, in lower division, right? In division.
No, actually, he's kind of new, kind of
Right.
coming out of nowhere. Do you see him being Los Guapos' main guy? And does he or does he not have the coolest name in Division E?
Yeah, no, definitely.
By far, right?
By far. There's not much competition in that specific respect, though. So,
But I haven't done the research, but I'm going to assume you're right.
But it's cool. It's cool to see, like, once again, having, working with multiple pieces on an offense. Like, you being the offensive guy, you know how it is. Sometimes you don't always want to have the main target or you don't want to have like a specific game plan aimed at one guy. They can definitely be the.
So do you think that they'd be better positioned to perhaps try and see what they can get out of Kevin, but seeing which other players they can develop into main threats?
I think you just go with it. I mean, like, once again, it's still week 2. If it, you got to ride the hot hand. I hope that's the right expression, because if not, that's not going to sound good.
Speaking of riding hands, Redmond beating Fuzzy Kittens, 25-19 in this one.
God awful pink jerseys. Like, and I get it. It's cool, great name, but the pink jerseys. I mean, I was blinded.
In a game between red and pink.
Yeah, red and pink.
We saw Redmond getting their second win. A team that's not scoring a ton of points, but
I know,
the defense is keeping them in games, and the offense is executing when it counts.
I felt like both teams left a lot of points on the board, though. Like, there were a lot of opportunities that didn't really work out. A couple of drives that ended like really abruptly, either an interception, a missed pass. But in general, I do see a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. Like, the score is not really indicative of what these teams are. Probably still need to find. They need to find like the hot hand that they want to ride. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. The hot hand to ride again. For Redmond, the hot hand so far, the hot hand that's gotten to ride has been Angelo Murata. Do you feel as though he can be that guy?
He could, but I think for me, like, I think John Papa or Papa Dimitri, I think for him, like, he's kind of the director of their offense. Like, when I was watching him play, I saw a very confident quarterback, which is nice to see in Division E. I'm not quite sure about his Statman, John Papa Dimitri. What's his history?
He played with Park X Streets.
Honestly,
one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah, and he looked like he was really confident. I felt like he was really avoiding the rush pretty well, and he had solid rush in his face like throughout the game. So I really want to see where that gets them.
So who do you see as the major players for the Fuzzy Kittens?
For Fuzzy Kittens, it's hard to tell, but. It's really hard to tell, but I think in general, like Junior Clarence Simon, I don't know. I find that he had a really good game, pretty solid. But this is also a team that didn't really rely on one target. They had 3 touchdowns from 3 different receivers. So, like, what I'm saying is, like, it's evenly spread throughout their offense. So
absolutely. I would just hand a note by our producer Slow Khan that says Sweewee. I'm not sure what that means.
Sweewee.
So I'll take a moment to take a break. I've noticed you brought some paper, so thanks for making this the greenest podcast of all. When we come back, we'll take a look at Conference B and look at who some of the main players will be heading forward.
Calling the Audible has been brought to you by the English Montreal School Board's DEAL program. Distance education for all learners will allow you to obtain your high school diploma or prerequisites for CEGEP or vocational studies from the comfort of your own home. It's never too late to go back to school. Learn anywhere at your own pace and get your diploma. Call 514-788-5937 for information or visit www.distanceed.ca for more details.
Welcome, everyone. You are back and listening to, perhaps watching, Super Flag Bros. I am joined in studio with my flag bro at D's Delaries.
At LeBron James.
Sorry, at Dave's Republic.
At LeBron James.
He is the white LeBron James. Actually, not at all.
Really
I am Peas Delaries. You can follow me at Peas FPF. We are live in the Sportera cage. Where, remember, if it's in the game, it's in the cage. If you haven't got your
I
jerseys
hope
yet,
that really doesn't catch on.
I hope so too.
Is that like an EA the slogan or something?
It's,
Yeah, it's
I stole it completely,
EA Sports in the game.
but it's in the cage. See, because it's a cage.
EA, you now owe me money.
See what I did with the cage?
Yeah, man.
Speaking of owing us money,
We got it.
Sportera, if you haven't got your jerseys yet, week 2 has passed, picture week has passed, but remember, you can always take a picture because we all have smartphones. And of course, our producer, the lovely Mo Khan, with his beautiful, not quite masculine haircut. You can follow him at what is it, Mo? Is it
At MoCon19.
MoCon19?
Yes.
He's a good follow in general. He actually will fill your Twitter feed with lots of sports info and some soccer stuff.
At Monos. Hashtag Monos.
Who knows? And of course, if you'd like to tweet the show live, you can tweet it at EagleFPF. Eagle is our resident knob turner and technical director. Let's say technical person.
That's what it says on my LinkedIn, anyways.
There we go. It's
Isn't
made
there-
up, but we'll
Isn't
call
there a
it.
program that does what you do? There's got to be an application that could just do what he does.
But unfortunately, he's the only one who would know how it works.
All right.
So we still got to keep
Okay.
him.
They had an
employed.
episode in The Simpsons, if you recall, Stampy, the elephant.
Okay.
When Bart wanted to Stampy the elephant, and the manager goes, "You see this machine over here? It's going to replace you two if you can't produce Stampy the elephant for Bart."
That's fair. That's apt analysis by me. One person found that funny. We broke down Conference A last week. Let's go down through Conference B. So I will mention a team and sort of like what I think the storyline is. Mo, if you've got any info to chime in, please feel free as well. Terry, feel free to smile in the background. Thank you for coming by. Blood Machines are led by Yannick Dostin, who's doing well in Division E. He's a good quarterback who's really finding his home in the lower divisions. What do you think about Blood Machines?
I'm gonna
as a team?
say generally, they seem to have a really fearsome defense. It's something really interesting about this team, and to me right now they're kind of my favorites. You know, at this point, like they have a very aggressive defense. They still have a lot to prove. They have a lot of tough games coming up as well. But I really foresee them like holding on to that lead as well.
Now, are blood machines that produce blood, consume blood, or
Right.
contain blood?
Maybe all three.
All three. I like it. Sorry.
Sorry, a little background history
Yeah.
on Blood Machines. The
Like in general, blood
elements-
machines, the
No.
actual blood machines. Okay, go ahead.
Some of these guys were part of the Flashes from Div 5 Winter, and we all know what happened. They kind of stank the joint out in the playoffs against.
So they produce blood.
It's a team that started off the season very strong, and then kind of got sort of like
similar parallels right now. Fast start. We'll see what happens in week 10 and beyond.
Yeah, hopefully they keep it going. Los Guapos, a team we talked about earlier. We didn't mention, of course, that the two of the Guapos, Dylan Daou and Anton Saki, is on the team. Now, it's notable, of course, that Anton is not the quarterback of this team, but still, I think, a key component.
Still an exceptional
What do you
athlete.
think of Los Guapos?
He's an exceptional athlete in general, and I think like if you rely on a player like him, like just in general in terms of a knowledge standpoint, like there's a lot that they can do, a lot that they can actually accomplish, and in general, like they're gonna give the Blood Machines run for their money.
What do you think of Jean-Guy, not as a product, but as a product of the lower divisions in FPF with their unorthodox style of offense?
Hard for me to believe in them, and hard for me to believe in them right now. Kind of seen the same production with them throughout the seasons. I still want to see what Chartrand can do, but in a sense, like it's the same kind of.
There is no Johnny Football this year. It is Emile Lamy who's the quarterback.
Okay, but I thought it was Chartrand. I was throwing.
I don't know if he's gone for the whole season or if it's a temporary situation. Eagles got some info.
Does this mean they have a playbook now or something? Or
Well, the first two games for Lamy.
That's a really good point, actually. Yeah, do they have
4
a playbook?
TDs, 1 INT. He's been sacked 3 times, 17 to 36 in the pass completion ratio.
So similar kind of production. Team with a lot of athletes, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Royalty, James D'Andrea, they really haven't scored much. They seem to have a pretty good defense. What's your handle on this team?
But in general, yeah, they are a very skilled team, and it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to imagine that them of any team would have an issue scoring, right? But at this point, only 27 points in the first two games is not much.
Not enough to win games.
Definitely not
You need
enough.
to score 27 in a game to win.
In a game, at least 27, at least.
Paul the Santash Mustache could be contender for wide receiver of the year for Smash Bros. What do you see?
So far, it's like you said. Having a guy like that, having a guy like Santash, it's incredible in this kind of division. It can be definitely kind of like a handicap for them, like against other teams.
Speaking of handicap, how many hours have you logged playing Super Smash Bros. In your life?
I'd say about 350 hours.
That's a little bit
That's
depressing.
not much. Witcher, maybe about 500.
Well, and you just bought
Yeah,
it
I just
last
bought it,
week,
yeah.
so I don't know if the math adds up. I'm excited to see this team. It's a lot of the guys I know from Game Changers. A lot of really good guys. I'm excited to see Jonah Cohen at quarterback. I haven't had a chance to see this team in person yet. They got some pretty wicked orange jerseys.
Missed photo opportunity though. There should have been more Smash Brothers
Yeah, I know.
type stuff.
They should be smashing each other.
Hit
in
me
the
up.
picture.
I'll Photoshop it onto the picture.
I like it.
Maybe they were smashed.
Yeah,
Perhaps that's what it
could
means.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Sebastien Tardif has thrown a lot of interceptions his first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Will he right the ship?
I don't know about that. It's kind of tough, like especially when you're kind of in that flow where the interceptions just come out, and who knows what it is. It can be a mix of receivers not responding to his plays. Maybe the offense isn't directed in the right direction, but it's really tough. And we always talk about this, how like you can't afford to give away the ball, and you can't afford to have turnovers in a 44-minute game. Like it'll kill you.
That's fair. That's fair. Flight of the Conchords have been plagued by inconsistency. They're as inconsistent as they've had, team name changes so far.
They've been inconsistent, but they've scored a lot of points though.
But you'd expect that. There's a team
Right,
that's been
yeah.
around forever.
Yeah.
Etienne Gilman has been runner-up for quarterback of the year in Division 6 or E.
But
Let's
it's
say
tough.
E.
It's I know,
Eagles
but
nodding.
but they do have a 1-1 record at this point, right? So it's like, I don't want
But
to
they looked
overreact.
so
either.
good in the first week.
I
Like
know,
they're
but-
blowing out their opponent. Second week, they take a loss. It's hard for me to get a handle on them. And teams that have been around as long as they have don't typically struggle early.
Yeah.
So I find it a bizarre start for them.
I find in general week 2 and week 3 tend to be the weirdest weeks for me. I always find that it's like
Like in your personal life. like that's when you take
That's when you eat too
NyQuil during a day and you
eat way too much shrimp. Just
Yeah.
find yourself in a alleyway.
and then all you,
syringe in
you
your ass.
open your fridge the next week, week 3, and all you see is cocktail sauce.
But going back to them, right? Like I still want to see a little bit more out of them. I get it. Like they're inconsistent right now, but it is the only game too. So, and I think that at least offensively, they're trending in the right direction. So,
Just to elaborate on that, they're on pace to have 3 guys with 300 plus yards. If it's projected to be that in 10 weeks' time or in 6 weeks' time.
Monos.
Hashtag Monos. Speaking of hashtags, we have hashtag Baton. And for those old school ballers who used to play basketball out on the courts in Montreal, that's a reference to getting rejected when you go up for a layup.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's a real thing. But this is a throwback to an old school team in Green Lantern Corps from Division 5. Now we're seeing Max Jocelyn at quarterback. Terry Tam had a bit of trash talk for them when he walked in. He said he couldn't believe that Max Jocelyn was quarterback.
TT,
No
what you got?
idea why he's playing quarterback.
Well, no one knows why you played quarterback, Terry. So
Well, better than you.
anyone's better than
But
you.
what is, can I know what it is in this league? Why there's just so much hubris? You guys all think you can play quarterback. All of you. Aside from Eagle, and I still think I can play.
But I
quarterback.
know I can.
Okay,
Prove it I
okay.
You
But
just said
I have
Terry-
winning teams.
But just what happens is there's a switch
What
that
happened
comes
in the
on. You all
playoffs?
think I could be quarterback today.
See, the thing is, Terry.
We don't talk about the playoffs, Mo. We're talking about the regular season, okay?
As for Terry, I will say this: he has a mirror in his house where he looks very attractive and super muscular, and that's what he believes the rest of the world sees as well.
Yeah, he's got like abs drawn on his
Yeah,
neck.
he draws his own abs every
Yeah.
day. Vanessa, how are my abs looking today?
No, but that's maybe a conversation for another time. We're gonna table
Leave
for another
Vanessa
time.
out of this,
I would
okay?
love to figure out the grand formula as to how you guys all think you could play quarterback.
The formula is alcohol plus more alcohol equals quarterback. But anyway, so what's your breakdown of this team? Max Jocelyn being just one of the members of this team. There's a lot of familiar faces in
Right.
FPF. What do you think?
A lot of familiar faces, but for some reason it seems like their offense is a dud. There's just, and maybe it's like what TT was saying, like
Titty Tam.
yeah, it's just it really comes down sometimes to where you're at with a quarterback. If you don't have a consistent quarterback, or if you don't have familiarity in your offense, it can really come back to harm you. But I think that familiarity is gonna help them out. They have a pretty decent defense, but only scoring 20 points, like that's pretty awful. And even in 2 weeks, you got to do more better than that.
Maybe it's something the team's got to work out in private. But as for the public, we have a mild public house. Lots of guys, not a lot of points, not a lot of wins.
What can you tell me about these guys?
Well, they're just it's a group of new guys finding themselves in the league. Honestly, I would say stick with it, because FPF is a league, as you and I know, when you first start in this league, there's a good chance you get a whooping.
Are you going to get a baton?
You might get baton, because honestly, it's a league that's been around a long time, and it's a league that attracts a lot of high-level talent.
Yeah.
So honestly, you'll get better and better each week.
And
I want to see what this team looks like in week 10.
There's a lot of intricacies in FPF in general, and I think like being a new team, sometimes it's hard to understand a lot of those little gestures and things that you got to do, how you run your routes, how you properly play your defense, how aggressive you have to be, how sometimes not aggressive you have to be. Like, there's just a balance, and I think that balance is it's hard for a team to. But they remind me of a team from last season. What were they called? They were they were really young team.
Which division?
That team.
Div E.
There's a bunch in V.
Man.
Div 6.
Flagrant fouls?
Not flagrant fouls. They were really new, kind of middle of the pack team. A lot of gingers.
Yeah, there was a team with a ginger, like you're talking about last summer.
Weren't they called Gingers?
Yeah, I think they were called the Gingers, actually.
Are we allowed to say that? It is a late night podcast, so I think we could get away with it.
No, I legit think they were called Gingers.
I think they're called the Gingers.
Okay.
Just food for thought. Simo Gontier, the only experienced player on this roster for Mile Public House. In fact, he has played for the Mr. Chat last winter, 2014, had 19 catches and 7 TDs. Other teams, Golden Eagles, Spartans, and the Dirty South. So he has FPF experience amongst the 35 guys on the roster.
Amongst the 96 players on that roster, absolutely. It's okay. Don't worry about it, guys. My roster, season after season, has 50 players on it by the end of the season. So, to the annoyance of Mokan. We have one last team. BBWC, Big Blue Wrecking Crew.
Right.
If you leave out one of the letters, it's a worse acronym. Sergio Sicoli.
A few letters, actually.
Yeah.
I don't get it yet, but I'll find out soon.
You'll get it. You'll get it. It'll hit you eventually. Sergio Sicoli, a friend of ours. Dude, you got to find your identity. You got to figure out what you are as a quarterback, what your team does well. I know it's tough. I know it's tough starting out a quarterback from personal experience.
He knows because he was your receiver.
You know what? He needs to find himself a Sergio.
Right.
Sergio was that guy for me who really got me out of jams a lot of times, who helped me look even better than I was.
That being said, I do feel like they do have a couple of winnable games coming up too. So once again, this is another team I want to revisit at week 5 and see where they're at, because I feel like maybe a couple more games will get them trending in the right direction. So I don't know. I want to see.
Sergio, we're watching you.
We're always watching.
Be warned. DZ, final thoughts.
What?
Final thoughts.
About what?
Life.
Trying really hard not to eat cheese, but I realize that my bowel movements are incredible.
Yeah, tapeworms are difficult to deal with. Mokan.
You have tapeworms?
No. No, I don't. What? No. Maybe.
This isn't the Div AB podcast, Mokan. Anything goes in Div E.
Yeah.
Speaking of anything goes,
tape, though.
I don't know why we hired you, but any final thoughts for you?
Yes, I think Div E, can see where it is right now. Could there be an undefeated team by the time it's all said and done?
Wait, that was a question. That wasn't a statement. That was a question. I'm calling out on this one. Give us a thought, not a question.
I'm saying there could be.
So, all right, cool. I'm not sure what to take from that. Eagle, let the good people hear your voice.
My voice.
There we go. That's as creepy as it gets.
Venice Beach, baby.
So, I want to say, you said there was a lost opportunity for Smash Bros. My Thursday's lesson plan this week, there's a lost opportunity for TDs and beer. You looked way too sober in your team picture. Guys, you got to step up your picture game for next season. Week 2, I'm looking out for it. I'm hoping by next season you get it figured out. Also, remember that it is Game of the Week this week in Division 6. If you haven't voted yet, you should vote.
When do people have to pay for the league?
What?
When do they have to pay?
You need to pay like soon if you haven't done it already.
This week, actually.
You gotta
It's
pay it.
actually this week.
All right.
And now we have your picture, so
I owe
we're
you-
going to find you.
I think I owe you money. I owe you all money.
Absolutely, absolutely. Speaking of owing us money, remember we are at the Sportira Cage. They are the official sponsor and official supplier of FPF uniforms. If you haven't got a uniform yet, hook it up with Sportira. Deez, how you doing? Ready? Ready for another week of action?
Am I ready for another week? I'm actually healthy this week.
All right, let's.
Nia is not locked and ready to go, man.
Let's do it. Remember, you can follow him at Dave's Republic.
At
You can
LeBron
follow
James.
Mocon at Mocon19.
At
You can
Monos.
follow his career, but there aren't many highlights. You can also follow the Eagle and tweet the show live each week at Eagle FPF. That's the
Hashtag
one.
Venice Beach.
Hashtag which beach?
Venice Beach.
Venice Beach. I can't afford that. I can barely afford
But can
Hampton
we-
Beach supplies at Home Depot. That being said, everyone, have a great week. See you next week.
6-1 loss.
It was nasty, yeah?
Welcome back to You Never Walk Alone. For those who don't know, You Never Walk Alone is a homage to the Liverpool Football Club that got smoked 6-1 in their last home or last game of the year.
Yeah, and that fell to 6th place in the EPL this year.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
I cried.
I was numb. Very numb.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to reality. Let's dive into the opening drive here, go through the games, and get your thoughts from week 2. We connected, but we didn't connect on the games that we covered. But I know you saw these games, as I did as well. We'll go with the first game. Game changers with a thriller of a victory over Dams 25-8, even though they remind me of 24-7.
Who reminds you of 24/7?
Dams 25-8.
Oh, Dams 25-8, yeah. That's what it is. I never even got what it
Well,
meant.
for those who don't know, Anton Sakis with a fantastic drive, game-winning drive to tie, winning by 1 here.
Why didn't he go for 2?
Oh, he went for 2? No, he didn't go for 2. He went for 1. Why you go for 2 when you go for 1?
Hey, you can run on 2.
Yeah, Anton Sakis, who runs maybe like a 5.5 40.
No, he runs. He's pretty quick, man. I played with him. He's pretty fast. I give it to him.
Football fast.
Football fast, exactly.
Not Mike Mamula fast, for those who don't remember him, 1995 Combine.
Not Peas fast, absolutely
For
not.
the record, he's faster than anyone sitting at this table.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, Anton Sakis, we look at him now.
I'm not surprised if that's what you're asking.
Well,
like
first
about
off,
the drive.
well, that's it. Is he creating that Joe Montana-like history? For those who don't know who Joe Montana is, watch the NFL Network. Where he is able to take his team from being down by, say, 7 points or 6 points, drive them down, put in position to score to win, and then eventually win it on a game-winning extra point or touchdown, whatever it might be. Is he developing that aura now as being the next great thing?
Absolutely. I mean, you can see the transition that Anton Sakis has made throughout since his first season, coming in here, forcing it deep, completing the balls deep, down to what was the name of this the rusher, the Asian kid,
Justin Filto.
Justin Filto. That's it. He throwing it deep to him or throwing it to Terrence Dobson. Now he's managing his games a lot better. He's throwing those shorter routes. He doesn't have the huge weapons that he had before. A guy like Kevin Bustani obviously helps you a lot. So I'm not surprised that he's able to close out the game. He plays on a lot of higher level teams. Like, he'll fill in here and there, so he'll pick up what he needs, kind of thing. And he's learned a lot.
Let's not forget, Filto and Dobson both banged up, especially the last year or so with them not playing here. Looking at Dams, though, 25-8, with the fact, again, with Jay Granson, an all-world receiver, how well he is, 6'3", 220 pounds. This guy is going to be an all-pro probably down the road in tackle football here. I think they had to get him the ball more often than what they did. He had 4 catches during the week and the last 2 game changers. When you see a guy like him with that talent, just give him the damn ball.
But why force it to him, though, either?
Well, he's a monster, though.
It's not as if they got tossed. You know what I mean? They did come close.
Though.
He is a great player, but maybe they were doubling. Maybe they were reading him the entire play. Maybe they knew who Jay Granison was. I mean, there's a lot of factors. The only thing is, you can force him the ball all you want. Doesn't mean he's going to score. He probably will. I mean, he's a great player. But the only thing is, you can't just be one-dimensional. And I think that's what they were trying to get away from.
Well,
and it worked for them until the last extra point of the play.
Week 1. Look what he did week 1. 9 catches, over 150 yards. And he was phenomenal.
But game changers knew that coming into the game. They know coming into the game, this guy got 9 catches for 158 yards. Key in on this side and take away.
Don't forget Terry FPF.
Yeah.
I was thinking about your other handle, Terry Tam.
I have Terry Tam.
What's 2 handles?
I don't want to talk, so I just... Because I have one. I like having one. I follow a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Following game on point.
Obviously, Peas is here, too. We didn't introduce Peas.
No, well, Puzzles is here.
Puzz. You can follow him at Peas FPF.
You can.
You can if you want.
Eagle FPF.
If you want to tweet us in, hashtag YNWA. Or hashtag... Where'd you get that jacket?
Oh, I got back in 2007.
All right, let's go.
It was raining outside, right? So I figured I'll wear the rain jacket.
Next game.
Prime time win a close one over Team Ethnic, 18-13. Prime time week 1 looked fantastic. Throwing the ball, gunning. It was a run and shoot essentially with Daouz and the Cherries dominating that game.
They were down.
Now in this game, they win by 5.
Yeah.
John Brown's throwing for Team Ethnic. Probably an upgraded quarterback for them. I agree.
A little bit, yeah.
They win in this ugly manner. When you look at this victory for them, what do you think about that?
For primetime?
Yes.
For primetime, it's a huge win for them, especially the way they won. They were down at half. They came back. They commanded their defense. Dylan Daoud runs a really structured defense. and they just handled them really well. Devin was outstanding. He's the reason why they won. On the 1 yard line at the end of the game, he knocked the ball down. It was a sick knockdown. He jumped up, I don't know how high, and it was pretty impressive to see that their defense was able to win them games, especially in a game this early against a really good quarterback like John Brown.
Which Daewoo would you take?
If I had to pick one Daewoo,
if your life was dependent on the Daewoo to win you or make you a
I'm
play.
a fan of all four. All four, huge fan. I think I would take, if I would rank them, I go Derek. GM's disagreeing. Derek, Devin, Derek, Dave.
Yep.
GM's going Derek, Dave, Dylan, Devin. Yes. That's a good one.
Ooh,
I like that too. You can
puzzles.
go- Derek's obviously number
I'm
one.
inclined to agree. I just wanted to point out something real quick with regard. They've had good quarterback play in general in their career, but rotating door at quarterback.
Yeah.
They've had in their past Francois Etier. They've had Angelo Garofalo for previous
Angelo
2 seasons. Angelo Garfield.
Bring him back.
And Kevin Lubin, I believe, in past seasons. So
Okay,
it's a
yeah,
team.
so not Kevin Lubin. Okay,
So
go.
other than Kevin
Other
Lubin,
than Kevin Lubin, they've had good quarterbacks.
No, but being serious, this is a team with good quarterback play, but because their quarterback isn't part of the core team,
Yeah.
they have a bit of that rotating door. That being said, this is just one more piece of the pie.
John, yeah.
with, having John Brown now at quarterback.
If John Brown stays, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be a rotating door. I hope he stays the rest of the season. It's going to be pretty good. I mean, Avdal is an experienced
Martin,
player.
yeah.
Avdal Martin is an experienced player in this league. And John Petard, I mean, you can't knock him down. He won, I think, Receiver of the Year a couple seasons ago.
He's cocky, but he backs it up.
He backs it up, and he's really good. He's good defensively. He catches every ball. He runs really good routes. John Petard is one of my favorite players in this division for now.
What other games stood out in your mind? One game in particular that stood out in my mind was Keyport Lock against Predators Lights.
Yeah, man, it was a smoke show.
SBB had a great game in a losing cause.
SBB against Keyport against Jeff Rose. I think it's going to be like a nice rivalry going up. For
Well,
the
the
next few
pull-off
seasons.
loss last winter,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
And then carried over. Well, if you remember, SBB had like a panic attack or something.
Oh, really? I had no idea.
Well, not bad. Well, I mean, he kind of spazzed on the referees. For,
Oh, okay. So you didn't have an actual medical panic,
No.
anxiety attack.
I would
giving
call
me
it a panic
Let's
attack.
be little people who actually have that condition.
exactly.
But yeah, you're right. Could this be a budding rivalry if they were
think so.
to continue on?
I think so. I think SBB versus Jeff Rose is going to be a very big, especially big and tall shop, right? David versus Goliath, and
Or twins.
Or
Arnold
Sure.
Schwarzenegger,
Oh, yeah.
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito. Arnold
Yeah,
Schwarzenegger. I like that
movie.
movie. Good movie. Good movie. Yeah, it's going to be a nice rivalry. I'm not surprised it went 42-41, 40,
It was 42. It was 40. Sorry, 47-46.
47-46.
So his
Not
first one to
surprised.
47 wins.
And what game stood out to me was Top Sauce putting up a donut against GNR.
Tap Sauce.
Top Sauce. Eagle on that team. Maybe that's
It's
why.
tough to watch for Vince Ardone again having a tough day at the office. Look, I understand the team that the GM, what told that is.
Maybe it's just going to take a few games for them to get the rhythm.
Maybe in the wrong division. Maybe.
You think that means
Well,
belongs in Div D?
no,
Peaser?
but the key is the quarterback, and then you can build as good a team as you like. If the quarterback's not ready to play at that division,
Yeah.
then you're going to struggle.
I'm not worried about Vince Nardone. I think that Vince Nardone doesn't have to be the best player on the field, and that's what he's trying
But
to
he
do.
needs to put more than 6 points up in the
He
game.
needs to be more than 1 point on the game to actually come.
The team hasn't scored more than 6
more than
points in the
6
game.
points. I mean, it's tough. And when you have Bertoldi, JC Marcel, GM, very good players, playing these, you have to be able to score.
Well, not only that, though.
It's going to take a while for them to get in.
I just think the lack of quarterback experience, and as P's made the point before, you need a quarterback to make plays.
Yeah.
Will hurt Vince Nardone at this level. If you maybe played quarterback in D or E, you develop it with lesser talent, and then eventually you take that next step, because this is a big step. It's
But
not-
Vince Nardone is trying to be the best player on the field. Yeah, but you can't be the best player on the field on this roster, and you're not going to be the best player on the field in this division playing at quarterback. Vince Nardone hasn't played a full season at quarterback.
Well, he doesn't have the experience at quarterback.
But they do have a ringer in Carl Nardone, though. I will say that. Ringer, this guy. No? You don't agree? Ringer.
We'll see.
8 balls week 1.
Yeah.
What?
He dropped like 8 balls week 1.
And that's his teammate telling
Yeah, it's
us.
called sarcasm.
Yeah.
For those who can't hear, GM Collectors is saying he dropped 8 balls in week 1. I've heard the dude is fond of pancakes.
I've dropped 2 balls, guguaranteed for sure, in my lifetime.
And one bad snap.
Was that through puberty or?
Yeah.
All right, on to
Thank God for gravity.
on to our first topic of the day.
Eagle hasn't dropped the second one yet.
The
Hence
2-0 overachievers. Of the 3 teams that are 2-0 that I've listed,
Yeah.
you know, are they legit contenders or are they overachieving? Now we will list Killer Instinct, Snatchers, Longhorns. Killer Instinct.
They should be
Ben
1-1.
Joseph,
They should be 1-1.
Anthony DuPont, JP Mancini, Omar Nike.
They should be 1-1. They should be 1-1, and I don't see that. I can see them.
So are they overachieving?
I think I guess if you say overachieving, it's been 2 games in. They should be 1-on-1. Yeah, they're overachieving. I see them doing pretty well. I mean, I don't see them making the playoffs. I don't know. Like maybe they'll be able to come up with a win against top season here. They're losing the cream team, Laval's finest for sure. Served with Heat might be a closer game, but I think Carl Lavallee has that in hand too. They have a tough schedule coming along. I don't think they have it in them to maybe they're not going to finish over 500. I don't see it.
I think the DNA of these guys, the core of this team, is that they always jump up to a fast start, whichever team they played with, right? Years past. But they always falter at week 6 and beyond, lose. And so rather than being, say, like a 2 or 5 seed or whatever it is, they end up being a wild card team, essentially.
Yeah.
Scraping by into the playoffs.
Always,
and they starters, but they can't finish when it matters.
Or they finished first when they were the Briscoe Highhawks. And then Dark Horses coming in
and Black Ice when they were part of
they also this is also the core of a team that won a championship in Average Joe's.
Average Joe's.
That was all because of Darren Basmajan.
Darren Basmajan and
Marvin Golding.
And Marvin Gregory. There you go, Martin Gregory.
I believe Chris Smith played on that team as well.
Chris Smith filled in on that team. Didn't play the full season.
Who needs Chris Smith?
Huh?
Nobody needs him. Who needs Chris Smith?
Snatchers.
Well, it's Simon Dagenet, that's all I have to say.
They beat GM's team week 1. Simon Dagenet, of course, we know what he's all about. Gab Wiseman has yet to play for them. Ben Fredette. All right, look at this team right now. Good pieces.
Yeah.
A nucleus that is pretty solid.
I think so, and we like to rag on Dags a lot, but this is the division where he can make his money in, and he can do well in this division for sure.
I forget about this division with his Div B performances that he's had.
Yeah, whatever.
He's also.
I guess I'm looking at Snatchers against the next 3 games. Longhorns, actually next 3 out of 4 games. Next Longhorns, GNR, Damson, Keyport. I'm going 1-3 in that game. He plays against defenses. He has good defenses, Division B, I guess, better defenses than Division C. But he also has the talents of his other teams, of his opponents. And he can blow games easily. If he doesn't have a Marco Masocha to throw the ball to in a game, that's Division B, exactly.
If Hugo Lalonde stays healthy for the entire season, which he's had trouble doing, Hugo Lalonde, that impact player for this team.
Of course, yeah, I agree 100%.
And I mean, probably the best number 2 you can have on a roster is Ben Fredette, who also has missed a lot of games. If this is the roster week in, week out, I disagree. I don't think they'll be 1-3. I think we'll see them win a lot of games. Yeah, but if he has the inconsistencies in his roster that he's had in the past, then I agree. I think we can
play the season. I mean, Gab Wiseman's a very good guy that we don't really talk about a lot, but he's really, really good.
Look, I've seen in both games so far for Snatchers.
Not impressed.
Eventually, Dash is going to have a Dagenet moment of 35 incompletions at some point here.
35 incompletions? Fact. By the way, it happened.
The trend so far with him up to now with this offense, they're strong stars in the first half, but in the second half they don't produce. They have like an INT or 2 drop balls here and there. That's been their issue so far in the first 2 games, that they've been dropping the ball far more often. That's not Simon's fault. It's his receiving core not being able to come up big when it matters most. Okay, the Longhorns, a team that I think could be playing where they are because they are a loaded roster. First time in a long time, which we spoke about last week. Looking at them right now, loaded team, the Allens, the Moody's. We'll talk about John Moody a little bit later on here, maybe in our top 5 quarterbacks. When you look at this team right now, both sides of the football here, they're able to pilfer the ball in the air, make big catches, and score points, play with the best of them. I don't think they're overachieving, but it's maybe some others in Div C believe they are.
I don't think they're overachieving as either. I mean, the Longhorns every year. They're competitive and they do well, and with guys like John Moody and Rob Allen, and I mean, you can't go wrong with them. Can't go wrong at all. They're gonna be able to squeeze out games and dominate you and make you do things that you don't want to do, and it's just the way they play. They're a grimy team and they win. You like it?
GM, our Bleacher reporter over here, giving us
a little aggressive.
Puzzles? Any Longhorns?
The Longhorns.
Well, you guys pretty much said it all. I mean, they do have some interesting games ahead, and 2.5 Nans, which are always a tough competition. That being said, I love seeing Rob Allen. I hope he's. If he is, that gives them a dynamic player that they've been missing in some past seasons. But it's a team that's always playoff bound, so I expect a lot from them.
When you look at these 2-0 teams, these 3 teams we've mentioned here, 1.5. I know PZ does not like the question.
This doesn't
here.
make sense. You're essentially saying,
I scratched out that question.
Will 2 of the 3 teams
I scratched out that.
make the playoffs?
Essentially, yeah.
1.5 is the same thing as 2 out of 3.
Oh, 1.5, right? Is it under? So is it 1
So
team?
if it's under, it's not 2 out of 3. If it's
push.
over, it's 2 over 3.
I'm pushing. I'm
just
pushing on
doesn't
1.5.
wanna push.
So who's the half team that will make the playoffs?
I'm pushing on 1.5. 2.5 Dans. There
exactly.
you go.
That's the Div C.
Danny Mac.
Right now,
Boy.
out of those 3, which one does not make the playoffs?
I'm gonna
If
say,
you had to pick one,
I'm gonna say
right?
Killer Instinct for a lack of quarterback.
And they always falter.
Yeah.
They always falter. 0-2 surprises. You look at some of the teams here, which are 0-2. Damps 25-8, Hitman Retro, KGP Champs, LBB, Pats, Top Sauce included. Damps 25-8. Again, we talked about Jake Granson being that guy for them. But you look at this team right now, athletically gifted. They have some athletes on that team here.
Yeah.
Close loss, again, to Game Changers this past week. They got blown out week 1. I am surprised that they're 0-2. They should be at least 1-1. They blew that game against Game Changers.
They
They
did.
should have won that game.
Well, maybe not blown it, but they just maybe experienced against
Well, they had
Anton
them.
Sakis.
They had them on the ropes.
I guess, but Anton Sakis, you give the ball to Anton Sakis, he's probably going to score 9 out of 10 times. I say they're athletic enough to keep close games. I'm not on the bandwagon like you are this year. I am impressed with the way they play. With a guy like Jalen, I mean, you never know. But to keep close games, maybe finish a 4-6, but I don't see them making the playoffs. No.
Puzzles?
I think they have a relatively unknown commodity at quarterback. That's going to plague them, but a lot of good talent, so we'll see how it shakes out. I think Division C is a tough division to be playing in if you don't have a quarterback.
Exactly. Division C is a quarterback-driven league.
They've lost by an average of 11 points so far in both their losses. Hitman Retro, they've lost by an average of 19 points.
Not surprised.
Jim Kipowaith. They have a very old team. Chris Mufraj, all these guys are, as Carmen labeled it, 45 and over.
45 and over?
The YMCA team that they have here.
Old timers, man. Experience will maybe keep you close. After watching them against the Served with Heat is a team I'm not really fond of this season. I'm not really high on, and able to not put barely any points against them. It's wasn't that impressive. I'm not on the Hitman Retro bandwagon yet, and I don't think I will ever be on it.
I think for Hitman Retro, good core but wrong division. These guys are too fast.
They should be in Division D, 100%.
I mean, I know PZ was with Past Our Prime last winter season, right? You thought, whatever, they are who they are. I think the same parallel is that they are a good team if they're in Div D, but in Div C they might be 3 steps too slow.
It's the things. It's a lot of big names in FPF, but I don't see a competitive team. Essentially, I think they're missing. There's no. I don't know where big plays will come from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. I'm inclined to agree more. I think this team in Division D, just based on experience, will win a lot of games. I think in Div C they'll struggle.
Their youngest guy is like 30 years old. So
Oh no, I think there's Jason Armenti who's like
I don't know.
21.
He's the one I was talking about. He's like 30.
No, he's young.
But he looks older. Anyway, he's the rusher, right?
Yeah, he's a former student of mine. He's,
Oh, he
he's
is. Okay, so
early
for
20s.
sure not 30 years old.
No, he's definitely
Yeah, he tweeted at me saying he's going to bring the youth to Hitman Retro.
They need more than that.
And he was going to bring the youth, and he was the one.
Maybe if he has a kid, he can bring the kid, and then he'll bring the youth to the game.
He was going to bring the youth to the team, and he was the only one that was exhausted after the game.
KGP Champs, they've lost by an average of 17 points. It's been an ugly start for them. It just seems like every rotating cast of players.
They don't have a real identity. I mean,
Liam Mahoney comes in, right?
but is he on the team fully? I didn't
No, I
ask
don't
him.
think so. I believe he's not.
I don't think he is.
Fred Slade, quarterback.
He plays too? Cutler.
Yeah, Cutler.
Cutler was playing at the same time in Division B with Brocasian.
Right.
So,
This KGP Champs team, this is probably the toughest of the bunch that I've seen in the last 5 years of FPF.
by toughest, what do you mean toughest?
Like to watch.
Oh, tough to watch. Yeah, it's not the same KGP champs that we normally watch.
That's Fred Saleh at quarterback
Fred Saleh,
instead
yeah,
of
exactly.
Phil Cutler.
Yeah.
It's not the same
Rob's
thing.
on the team. Liam was there. I think there was another guy from Chris on that team. The guy with the beard. I forgot his name.
Mark Viglis is there.
exactly.
Yeah,
and Derek Hazen.
they're
exactly.
both full timers on
They're
that
all both
roster.
full-timers on the
Viglis
team,
is-
so yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one has a nicer one than the other one.
This might be the worst KGP Champs team I've seen. Very tough to watch. This isn't the team from Div B last summer that was dominant in the regular season.
It's not the same team as Division 3 last winter.
No, I think this might be the end of the KGP Champs.
You think so?
I think
But
it
why?
is. The roster keeps on getting weakened and weakened, and
Is
this
Cutler
is probably the
realizing that
weakest.
he can't win a championship with his buddies?
I don't know. I don't think
Because Cutler's not throwing this team, right?
No,
So
he's not.
If Cutler's not throwing
I
for
don't
your
think
team,
he can.
sorry,
And he has Sean Brophy in Division B.
he has Sean Brophy. Exactly, yeah. So I mean,
I just think again. I personally think this is the beginning of the end for KGP champs. They might say otherwise.
No, I think so. I mean, listen. I've never been high on KGP champs. I never really thought that they. I mean, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to bash them out to say good team, but I think that they've been very, very, very quarterback driven. And without a quarterback, you can see their faults. When you have Liam on the team, you have to score more points than 12.
Oh, Liam can't do it all by himself.
No, but he has the ability to.
Yes, you can. He's your boy, actually.
My boy.
LBB, they've lost by an average of 5 points so far in the first 2 games. Minton Tat. The Chime that we call him.
Yeah.
We'll call him the Chime.
The Chime?
Yeah.
The Chime Tat.
Michael Carter-Williams, we call him the hyphen in the NBA.
Okay,
we'll call him the Chime.
So Pease is the semicolon at this point? And then
I'm
Eagles
full
the colon?
Yeah.
I'm nothing but colon.
Colon blast, colonoscopy. All right, looking at LBB right now, they've lost by an average of 5 points. They've progressed from week 1 winter season up to now. I think it's been a huge jump for them in terms of their
I think so too.
development.
Developed this season.
Are you surprised though they're at 1-2?
No, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's not the division that they should be in, but I'm happy that they're in the division because they can learn a lot. Next season is going to be where they break it out, and that's the reality.
Puzzles.
I'm obviously I've been a big fan of Min from the start. And
Checkmate, yeah.
So obviously I'm happy to see him succeeding as a quarterback. I hope nothing for the best, but I agree with Terry. I don't think that the season where we see it. I think also I don't think he's necessarily the issue at quarterback. I think they're just missing one guy who can go out there and make big plays, and we'll be good to go.
They need a big time player. They don't have it.
Speaking of big time players, the Pats. This is a team we know very well. Their history in FPF is well documented. They've played many, many years. Etienne Chauvin was there. Our boy Patrick Trahan, who was a big fan of Darren Basmajan.
Yeah.
The Paredes, also on this roster, included. They've lost by an average of 18 points. I look at this roster, saw them play this past Sunday in week 2. They were outclassed thoroughly from start to finish. Paredes played well. But I look at this team right now. This is where I think they are. 0-2 team. They're going to win a couple of games, but this isn't a team from
they're good enough
5
team to
years
win
ago.
a few games, but like you said, I'm not fully on.
Same Etienne Chauvin, though, man. The same guy from 5 years ago. The same demeanor.
But it was 5 years ago.
The
and
same
the
thing
league,
now.
the league is far more competitive than it was 5
It's
years
evolved.
ago.
He's been the same, but everyone else has evolved.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I understand how good they were then, but it's a new era in FPF.
I think it's going to be the same tune. I really do. I don't
Meaning
think
what?
Meaning that they're going to be competitive, but they won't win the most important games.
Well, they're playing right now. They're going to be playing 2.5 downs next week. Then
That's a loss.
That's a loss. Punisher, maybe a win. I see Top Season, maybe a win as well. West Park Boys, that could be a win too. West Park Boys, I mean, they're good, they're athletic, they're fast. But I don't know about that. I mean, it's tough. They have a tough schedule. Served with Feed, Him and Retro, Team Ethnic Cream Team. So it doesn't look like they're going to maybe 4 and 6.
Quickly here, Top Sauce. We lost by an average of 25 points. We spoke about it.
Missed representative after 2 games. Lost one game by 8, the other by 41.
Whatever.
And you scored how many points?
An average 25 points.
6 points in 2
They
games.
scored 6 points. So the points
You
against,
deserve what you got.
The points against, the average points against isn't anything for me. It's the points for, like Pease mentioned. 6 points. When you have Marcel Bertoldi on your team.
Okay, so when you look at this team right now, like they're 0-2. We spoke about it before, guys. I think they're a Division D team with Vince Nardone. He's got it. This is a big leap. This isn't like going from A to B here. It's going from point A to point F without going through B, C, and D.
But Vince Nardone, like I said, I'm going to say it again. Vince Nardone can be the best player on the team, and he's trying to be the best player on the team. It's going to take him a few games. I'm not worried about them going through. They're going to win games. They're going to win games. They're going to win games big, close games, whatever it is. They're going to end up finding a way to win because they're that experienced, they're that good, they're that talented. But it's taking a while for them to get there. And 41-0 against GNR, who I favorited to go almost semifinals. I mean, surprised they lost. It's just that donut really bothers me.
Yeah, and I agree. And at this point, like I said before, Vince Nardone, you got to prove that you're good enough to play quarterback in this division. Till then, you're not, and that's the truth.
Till then, Terry Tam and Pease are better than you.
That's right.
So,
Our top 5 quarterbacks of the week.
Yeah.
After 2 weeks, looking at the top 5 quarterbacks, we go with you, Terry Tam. Your top 5 with number 5 going up to number 1.
I'm going Jared Humphrey of the Cream Team, Jeff Rose of Keyport, Dave Daou Primetime, Vinny G of GNR, and Jamie Harry of Brotherhood.
Okay. I actually put it on my
Oh, you have it on your phone right there?
Well, on my other email, actually. David Daou is number 5. 18 TDs, no INTs, and he has 254 yards rushing.
A good defense helps you keep the ball. That makes any sense.
Yeah, well, he has 8 TDs already. Jared Humphreys, 22 TDs, 2 INTs. A very good start for him.
11 TDs. All the stats are double.
11. My apologies. 11 TDs. SBB.
Oh, you have SBB in there.
Yeah, Simon
rushing
Baudin.
yards, man. Rushing yards.
And he's got 4 rushing touchdowns.
4 rushing touchdowns already.
Yeah,
Shoot.
4 rushing touchdowns, 14 TDs. John Moody. No INT so far.
9 touchdowns.
9 touchdowns.
Yep.
He's off to a great start this year. And the thing with him, the reason why he's my number 2 quarterback is because he has made the clutch throw this year. On 3rd and 4th downs, he's converted.
Every single time. But that's John Moody, man. With his board shorts that he wears. And
when you play against him, it's the most annoying thing in the world.
Yeah, because
you have him pinned on 3rd and 4th down.
He doesn't look good.
He beats your rusher somehow and tosses it up, and it's a perfect throw. And you're annoying, John Moody.
They're so annoying to play against.
Yeah,
but they're fun to watch. But they're annoying to play against.
My number 1 quarterback. You ready for this? Joey Taylor.
What the hell, man?
9 TDs, 1 INT.
I'm going to give Joey Taylor all the credit in the world, but he's not.
He's
number 1
played
quarterback.
well.
He also came off a 50 touchdown season.
Yeah.
So no one should be surprised.
I'm good with Joey Taylor being a top 5 quarterback. I'm good with that. But
He's
for
a
him to be
top
your
quarterback.
number 1 quarterback in this division so far, when we said it's a quarterback-driven league,
Look at his stats.
I'll look at Jared Humphrey's stats.
Okay.
11 touchdowns, 1 interception.
But put yourself in a game situation. If you're down by a score, which quarterback do you want to have?
Joey
on the
Taylor.
field
Jared Humphrey.
to win you a game in 4 or 5
Jared
plays?
Humphrey. As opposed,
He can win you in 4 or 5 plays.
Okay, on my list, I would rather Vinny G, championship, Jared Humphrey, championship, Jeff Rose, lost in the championship, Dave Daou, gonna win one this year,
Lost in the championship.
lost in the championship.
But by the way,
Joey
Joey
Taylor's-
Taylor also lost the
Lost in the
championship.
championship.
I was about to say yes, he did lose in the championship, but Joey Taylor, I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess
my number
I
1
get it. I
quarterback.
get it. It's ugly.
It's,
we all
it's
know
nasty.
it's ugly.
It's disgusting.
Why? Because he plays a weird offense, but it's
No, I
effective?
love the. I'll be the first one to say this. I always say it, and I love watching 2.5.
Watch him closely. See how he plays. They're down 15 against the Zoo game number 1.
Yeah.
They end up winning by 15.
Yeah. Maybe it's Danny Mack that makes them win those games with
Dan
those
McPhee.
awesome rushes. Fresh MTL.
Or Jasmine Ryu, maybe.
Maybe Danny Aylward.
All right, so
I can't believe I'm agreeing with Mo on this one. I gotta take a
he
shower.
knows.
Pissed off that you're not.
Showers
agreeing with
just
me.
around the corner, PZ. To your
Seriously.
right.
I like the showers here.
Very nice.
We should go smack each other a
Sportier
bit.
Cage.
Done.
Okay, well, look, we agreed to disagree. We'll look at it in 6 weeks' time for top 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Stevie G of the week. Who are your key players now? This is in honor of Steven Gerrard, former Liverpool player. Guys who we think can play up to the level.
Former, what happened?
He signed
with the LA Galaxy.
He doesn't like you guys or something? Or
No, he's moving on to.
No, he's coming closer to us. Okay?
Yeah, he's going to come hang out with us here at Sportier Cage.
When he comes to Montreal, who do you think he's calling?
He's not calling you.
That's for
Eagle.
sure. It's not John Lee. John Lee.
I think he's an FC Dallas fan, this kid, huh?
FC Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's known for how many soccers he typically gets in a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
How many soccers?
Anyway, so our Stevie G of the week is in honor of Steven Gerrard.
I'm going,
Guys you have to look out for is who?
Carl Avalé this week going against Killer Instinct. Things have a big game. Billy Macris of Laval's Finest going up against Punisher. He's had a good season so far. Did both sides of the ball. I expect something from Billy. Not to be confused with John Macris, by the way. Don't ruin Billy Macris' name.
No.
John Brown going up against Damps. So,
All right, fair enough then. So that's your Stevie G of the week.
all 3 of them. I'm looking forward to it.
Big games.
Big games.
Okay.
John Brown and his weird huddles.
He walks backwards.
Yeah. And he gets on his knees very awkwardly.
I think it's maybe
he's like 19 yards away from the line of scrimmage.
creature of habit. All right, quickly here. Puzzles, it's time for the picks of the week.
Picks of the week, as discussed in the previous podcast, we've changed it up a little bit because it makes no sense that Mo Khan sets the line and picks the game. So here are the lines.
I would like to point, though, the Longhorns' top seasons, we've said 5.5.
Top season.
Longhorns won by 7.
I don't remember what the...
I don't remember what it was.
It was 5.5.
Okay, so
Longhorns.
So we're not saying that you haven't been right in your.
No, yeah,
that's not what we're saying.
It could be that they're very accurate. It just doesn't make sense that you set the
So
line
they
and
won
pick the
by
game.
more than 1 score, and you're proud of yourself.
I'm proud of
Sorry,
you, Eagle.
Eagle.
So first game, prime time in caps. So I said it very excitedly against Preds Lights. The spread is 7.5 points. Prime time. Terry, you're picking prime time.
Going prime time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, words were out of my mouth.
Done. Analysis
I'm
over.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Good night, Sportier Cage.
Mo, what's your pick?
I have primetime winning, but not covering the 7.5 point spread. So this will be like a 4 or 5 point victory.
All right, West Park boys against No Fly Zone. So will the fast West Park boys be able to catch some flies against No Fly Zone?
I don't know how you have West Park favored in this game.
You know, you
Four and a half
know who's
points
playing
West
for them,
Park.
right? Your boy, Amit Paul.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Retired CFL player, Meet Paul. Looking a little
He's not
fit.
retired. He's looking for a CFL.
Oh, he's looking
opportunity,
okay.
yeah.
Whatever, same thing. Same thing. Retired, looking for a team. I'm going No Fly Zone. The underdog here to win.
All right, not even with the spread. You're picking them straight up to win.
Straight up.
West Park.
Mokan, you're taking West Park
And
with
they're covering the spread.
Covering the spread. This Heat favorite.
With Heat on this one. It'd be a Stevie G of the week.
They had it. You know what? At one point in that win over Hitman Retro, he had a perfect game going.
Really, yeah?
Yeah. Give me serve with Heat. They're going to smoke. I think they're going to beat Killer Instinct badly.
I'm going served with Heat, my brother.
Next game.
Next game, Longhorns against the Snatchers. There's definitely a sexual pun in there. For now, however, 8.5 points for Longhorns.
8.5 points Longhorns. I'm going to go Snatchers. Keep it close. Longhorns win the game, but Snatchers keep it close.
I agree. I think Snatchers will keep it close, but Longhorns will win the game on a last-second touchdown.
By John Moody.
John
On probably
Moody.
a 4th and 16.
I say
can see
4th
it
and
happening.
26.
It's possible.
4th and
It's possible.
26.
Keyport. Game Changers. Game Changers favored at 3.5 points. Will we see Anton Sakis with a similar performance as we saw this week?
I'm going... it all depends on what roster shows up for Game Changers, right?
Well, they're thin right now.
I think I'm going to go Keyport on this one. Actually, I'm going to go Keyport. I'm going with the underdogs this week, according to Mokan.
I agree. I'm going to go Keyport. They dropped 47 over Preds Light. I think they will win this game, considering again that Game Changers are very, very banged up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What did you learn on today's episode?
I learned that Mokan phrases questions to answer so he can answer them.
You're only learning that now?
Yeah, I just found that out. This paper right here.
Okay. Puzzles, what did you learn today?
I learned that I get live tweeted during the podcast, and I got a tweet from Simon Dagenet, who said Hugo Lalonde is already out for the season.
Yeah, you told me that last week. I forgot
Injured.
to mention it,
Benoit Fredette will sub when he can, but Gab Wiseman will return in week 6.
Week 6. So he'll be eligible for the playoffs if he plays 5 games. There you go.
I learned, which I'll carry over to this season, Simon Dagenet made Gab Wiseman's career.
Wait, why?
What? Gab Wiseman made his
Yeah, I
career
don't
in
get it
Ghosts.
either.
Simon Dagenet said, I made his career.
Simon Dagenet said that?
Yeah.
Well, Simon Dagenet is clinically slow.
Also, he should never speak.
No.
Yeah. I think we all agree there.
Good morning, London.
Welcome everyone. You're listening to and perhaps watching Calling the Audible on www.youtube.com/flag+football. I almost said
Flag Plus, not Flag Plus Football.
/flag plus. That's why I can never find our YouTube page.
/Flag Plus.
I'm going to keep going /. I'm a relic. We are in the Sportiera cage in lovely something Anjou. And speaking of something, I am joined by GM Calethris. Of course, you can follow him at GMCole44. How's it going, GM?
It's going good.
The resident knob turner, the technical director of Flag Plus Football, is giving us a hand, making us look as pretty as we always do. That is, of course, the Eagle at Master Control. You can follow him at Eagle.
We don't have that soundbite again.
We gotta get
I'm working on it.
We gotta get a soundboard because you sound like a dying pigeon. It's
I
pretty.
think that was more like a.
No, dying pigeon. That's the one. And of course, speaking of dying pigeons, we're joined by our producer, Mo Khan. You can of course follow him at MoKhan19. Did I get it right for once?
Correct.
Nice.
Puzzles.
Nice. Nobody calls me that. All right.
I do though.
All right. Sounds good.
It's puzzling why he calls you that.
You guys are all hurting my brain.
I just got here.
It's okay, GM. You hurt my brain all the time.
Just wait till we play each other.
No, stop pretending. Stop pretending you're a real team. But a team that was pretending to be a real team this week, PMS. It must not have been their time of month because they lost 45-19 against the Diablos. What's your take on Francois Martin as an FPF quarterback? I feel like I can never get a handle on him. We know he's a good quarterback outdoors, but he struggled in FPF, but he has these weeks like this.
I don't know if it's a question of him having these weeks like this or both figuratively and literally, pardon my swag, dropping the ball. I feel like they had all the tools necessary to succeed. They had a good knowledge of the opponent that they were playing, what they were going to do. It's like they went into this game knowing what their opponent were going to do and let it happen. So I don't know if it's a question of Francois being a great quarterback or living up to the hype, or a little bit more about, pardon my swag, not being the team we thought they were right around now.
We'll talk a little bit later in the show about the top quarterbacks in the division. We'll see if Francois Martin makes the cut for either of us. When everyone is there, they feature a roster that includes J.D. Jolly, Georges Livoyer, Louis Beijing. How do they stack up as a top-tier Division D receiving corps?
No,
not at all?
I don't think so. I think that your receiving corps is only as good as your quarterback will lead you. First of all, we'll get on this a little bit more later when we're talking about top players, but I feel like the ball is really forced to Beijing more often than it isn't. Mm-hmm. And bearing in mind the experience that you have with J.D. Joly, Georges Livoyer when he's there, but seeing an offense that primarily consists of Beijing with Joly sitting on the bench at times when you need those big plays, back when PMS were leading the game early on, it just didn't happen. And it's almost as if PMS were in control of this game and adjusted and lost it.
That's fair. Well, do you think that kind of inconsistency will plague them the rest of the way out? PMS,
without a doubt, I think start to face trouble with. They're in a world of pain right now. It does also have to do with the fact that this team going their rankings right now. So Brad Evans has mentioned that a little bit of frustration is that the guys that he brings in, that they do well one season, they lose because their ratings inflate a little bit. Isaiah Lard, John Grizzly, Pat Pilot, who is still on the team, but Brian Joseph was on this team in the past as well.
This is the new FPF.
Yeah, it is the function of the new FPF.
You need to be able to play up there with your teammates as well,
or calculate properly,
or learn how to use the cap in your favor.
Or get new players every season.
As a player for Show Me Your TDs, the team that I'm not happy that I don't get a chance to play against is These Nuts, because Show Me Your TDs versus These Nuts would be the greatest name, the greatest team names playing against each other. But we have These Nuts.
Gentlemen, J.D. Joly, he has 3 INTs so far this year. He's halfway to his career high of 6, which he established last season with the Dragons.
Well, he's going to hit it and he's going to break it without a doubt.
And JD's a fantastic defender.
Big physical body, great field awareness, solid player. He didn't make my list of defensive players to watch,
which we'll discuss later.
An honorary mention.
So, I guess the honorary mentions then. Nice.
It is
just
for him.
catching balls from Simon Dagenet are called receptions and not interceptions, Mo. Just pointing that out there.
Or it's not a drop ball.
So these nuts beating Les Aigles 50-30. These nuts have hit the ground running. Have they been tested? See what I did there? Have they been tested yet? However, as they got to start the season against two new teams.
I don't think it matters if they've been tested in D or not. Dave Daou has that higher Division C experience quarterbacking there. So he's facing those defenses in C and carries that down with him into D. He has a solid core of players, very, very underrated. We'll mention more of them later. These are a few. It's funny, we've chosen teams that have players that I'm very high on. We will mention them, so if you're part of D's Nuts or curious about them, we'll talk about them later, salted or otherwise.
So challenge comes in the third week when they play Backyard Bullies. So you think they'll come
I'm
out?
not convinced that Backyard Bullies will be the first test for D's Nuts because of the rushing prowess of Devin Daou. The way this team dynamic is, they need to face up against a QB that will go score for score with them, who will air it out just as much as they do, not a running quarterback, because of the fact that Devin Daou comes in as a great rusher, comes in full speed, is very, very good at containing mobile QBs.
So let's go down the list a little bit for them. They play Backyard Bullies, so you don't see it there. Pardon my swag. Not yet, not quite
I'm
yet.
waiting for you to continue, and I will mention.
Because you shook your head. So for those of us, for those listening to the show or watching in Braille. So you say no?
I say no, not yet.
No. Okay. So what about Les Affreux with Joe Lemieux at quarterback?
Les Affreux, Joe Lemieux has that ability, but he's turning the ball over far too much. You can tell it's been a while since he's played a full season in FPF.
The Blue Devs. Not yet.
Gianfranco Ronaldo does like to look deep, but he's not going to go score for score with them.
Jägerbaum.
Yes, because Jägerbaum will be their first test. Simon Duchesne is that good mix of being able to buy time with his feet, but still being able to find his receivers deep and short as well.
And they do end the season with the last four games being his Jägerbaum, Tomahawk Nightmare, Sticky Hands, and Warhawks.
So
that's the test.
That's the test,
That's
exactly.
the gauntlet.
Especially with Warhawks finishing it up.
If they can come out with a record of more than 500 against these teams, I think this is the
So
coming
of
out
those
party.
four, so 2 out of 4.
Yeah, if they can win 2 out of the 4 or more than 2 out of 4 games, then I think we can really look at this team and say, yes, this is absolutely the front runner to win the division.
I already think they're one of them,
Yeah.
to be honest.
But I think that would separate them from the pack.
A little side note for you guys for D's Nuts. Joel Malkin and Devin Daou are touchdowns at least 5 TDs. They're in top D receiving for touchdowns.
So would you say you're impressed by D's Nuts?
They got big nuts.
Absolutely. Les Aigles are putting up points but struggling on defense. This is common for new teams. Let's give them a tourniquet, stop the bleeding GM, give them 3 recommendations.
I think 3 recommendations right now, as much as it gave them variance a week 2 game, halfback, it's something that, in fact, all of the teams outgrow in FPF within weeks, not seasons. However, they points early on to D's Nuts, and then in the second half, they're definitely on the right track. And the fact that they're a brand new team that registered in D instead of E and are still doing decently, I think they're already head and shoulders above what we expected of them.
Fair. How about on offense? We see that they've been spreading the ball around. Do they need to have that one target, or do you think they'll be more effective this way?
With so many teams in Division D being reliant on 1 or 2 players, there will always be, especially in Division D, there will always be 1 or 2 weak links on defense. If you're able to effectively read every player on the field and spread the ball, eventually you're going to key in on that mismatch, and that's when you start to exploit. Having the ability to find 5 different receivers on the field rather than forcing it to 1 or 2 will be huge for them, and it'll be the defining factor in being competitive.
And the team, one team that I think typifies that is Global Gym Purple Cobras. They win it 20. I have here 24 to 18 over 5-star. I was going to say 24 to 5. That didn't
Very
make any
great
sense.
game.
Yeah, you were there for that game, GM. Let's take a look at 5-star. How good are they really? Like, what are realistic expectations for this team?
I think we all went into this seeing Jordan Moses, really just the running halfback for no regard. We didn't expect much. He's a first-time QB. However, that being said, he spends a lot more time in the pocket than he does buying time. He knows where his receivers are going to be. Even though they're a brand new team, he already start, in my opinion. They have a good core of players. They have smart players who are very aware. I think that we're going to see a little bit more of them as they start to get a feel for the division.
Slow Khan, I've seen 5-star play a couple times this season. They seem to me think they will struggle when they play against some of the top tier defenses.
No, I saw them play on Wednesday, I believe, or Tuesday. Sorry, Tuesday. My apologies. Lost track of days here. If the quarterback play comes up big for them, they have players that have had higher division experience. If they're able to, and if the quarterback keep them.
They need to back him up as well. I mean, his receivers, especially the ones who need to back him up by actually catching the ball. You see drops by higher division players like Kendall Myers who are making drops that they shouldn't be dropping. Really, especially in Division D, you need to set that example for the other players. Really play up to the potential that you're capable of.
Jordan Moses was referring to
the quarterback. Yes.
Quarterback. Yes.
For this game, Danny McPhee was on the sideline with a headset.
It was amazing.
Posing as,
I was waiting for him to throw a challenge flag.
Yeah, I think we're not that far away in FPF. Just a matter of time.
Well, look at Steve Liberopoulos for Game Changers. He was their de facto coach as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's not forget about the original coach for the Dirty Birds.
Yeah, Joe
Birds.
Joe Birds, indeed.
I met Joe Birds. There's a photo of me with him.
And we have this team being quarterbacked by Maiorino. They're running a very 2.5 Dan system. We've seen receivers go to die in that system. The big one, obviously, is Simon Lahey, a guy who we're familiar with. We thought would be successful. Didn't really work out to the same level we thought it would. But is Alex Joltopov the ideal receiver for this type of offense?
Without a doubt. He's someone who comes in. You can put him at snap. You can put him at wideout. You can put him at slot. He's going to make plays for you. You're taking away the players I have paired up for later on, so I'm going to mention him a little bit more, but I think that he is a good player for the system. I think both their offseason and the Core's offseason additions in Division C with Matt Rupsick and in Division D with Alex Joltopov, they're both great for the system. I know it's neither here nor there because it's Division C and not Division D, but I spoke to Matt Rupsick on the sidelines after the 2.5 Dans game, which is very similar football, very similar style on defense. Said it's great to play on because the guys all trust each other on defense. They know where they're going to be, and on offense, it's just they run the same sort of offensive plays. It's frustrating for defenses to play against, but great for receivers.
Alex Joltopov, his career high was in spring 2014 with the Gingers. 32 catches, 613, and 12 TDs.
I believe he was receiver of the year or two-way of the year that season.
Yes, he was receiver.
Receiver.
Just got to point out for the Purple Cobras, after playing them in week 1, maybe about 10 plays in, I knew their entire playbook. So if you get any teams that have a really good defensive squad, you're going to need to change up your playbook a lot because it's very predictable.
Thank you, Eagle, for that humble brag.
Yeah, I was going to say, Eagle pat himself on the back. I'm happy you feel better about yourself now.
No, but you know what?
I'm glad you took the segment and made it about you.
He's actually trying to be genuine with this, and we're crapping.
I actually am, because when teams start off and they have new players and everything, you keep your playbooks very simple. So as the team evolves, they're going to need to add more plays into that playbook to be able to improve.
All right, we're going to try and get the mic away from Eagle, and when we do, we'll come back from break. Until then, GM, enjoy the break.
Calling the Audible has been brought to you by the English Montreal School Board's DEAL program. Distance education for all learners will allow you to obtain your high school diploma or prerequisites for CEGEP or vocational studies from the comfort of your own home. It's never too late to go back to school. Learn anywhere at your own pace and get your diploma. Call 514-788-5937 for information or visit www.distanted.ca for more details.
Welcome back, everyone. You were listening to and perhaps watching Calling the Audible. show, the highest rated FPF podcast with my homie Jim Calethris.
Apparently, it's being broadcast in Braille.
It is.
If Mocon asked me what it's being broadcast in Braille.
And I'm pretty sure if you press the SAP button, I might be speaking Spanish.
Or French.
Not with any luck.
SAP is an abbreviation for Spanish audio something.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I don't want to say what the P stands for. If you want to follow GM to find out what the P stands for, you can follow him at GMCole44. If you want to tweet the show live, you can tweet us at EagleFPF, and Eagle will do his best to get the information to us. Most likely through our producer, who is the Slowcon himself. He can be followed at Mocon19. We are in the Sportera cage. Well, remember, if it's in the game, it's in the cage. If you haven't got your jerseys yet, by the way, Sportera is the official suppliers of jerseys and FBF swag, as demonstrated by GM Calethris for those of you watching live. Eagle just pointed at Mo?
The camera.
Oh, pointed at the camera. Never mind. I gotta learn how this setup works. It's so different.
The tablecloth.
Yeah, we're getting classy up in here. That means we can eat lobster on the set. That's what that means.
You know we'll do it, right?
Didn't we have this tablecloth last week?
No, we did not.
No, we did not. And we also had 3 tables, not 4.
We also had like different mic stands. It was a whole different mess. So making improvements.
We
on
also
a
had
weekly
no
basis.
mic for me.
Yeah, and that's actually a downgrade. So GM, I asked a question about some of the best players in this division. I broke it down to quarterback, the most disruptive defenders, the best receivers. So I want to talk about some of the guys, as well as get your opinions on some other guys that I perhaps haven't thought of, and then I want to know who you would build your team around, not including guys from your team.
Because
currently.
if you asked me, and I had the opportunity, it would be formerly teamless. Just my roster. I'm very, very happy with this team.
Yeah, and they're going to be overrated as always. I know. That's what we've been saying from the beginning. But I'm saying,
that's how it works. I mentioned a player's name, and their rating goes up by 5 points.
Pretty much. That's actually how it happens. If you work for the media, it makes it very hard to build teams, by the way. Let's start at quarterback. Some of the guys I've sort of tagged here, and Mo, feel free to jump in if you come up with guys as well. Fred Millette, who sounds like he has a backup NFL quarterback name on his own. JF Marquis, Dave Daou, Alex Labonte, and John Brown. First of all, who stands out of these guys? Any notables? And then anyone else you'd like to draw attention to?
Alexi Labonte, thus far, of those 4, has not thrown an interception, along with John Brown, but I'm not going to pick him because he's irrelevant. Alexi Labonte has yet to throw an interception, however, is at the lower end of the touchdowns thrown by these QBs, not counting John Brown as well, due to relevance. Of those, I'm the biggest fan thus far of Fred Millette due to mechanics. However, being able to work with the team he has and adapting in games would be Dave Daou. JF Marquis, I think more just because he's one of the perennial favorites. I'm not as sold on him because there will be games where he has that inevitable meltdown. However, he is still a top-tier quarterback as well.
Makes a lot of sense.
Well, once you get to Fred Millette in terms of his stats, some funny stats to look at with what he's done as a quarterback if you want to build your franchise around him.
All right, what do you got, Mo?
Hey, Mo, why don't you...
Mo, why don't you
tell us
does
what
he
the
have
stats,
more
Mo?
passing touchdowns now than he did in Div B?
Well, here's the thing, though, right? His best years came with the Bruisers in winter 2013 and 2014, where he combined for 67 TDs, 26 INTs, and over 2,700 yards passing.
Yes.
Whereas after that, though, it's been very minuscule production with Genie 3D, Certified Fly Guys when they had their messy season last spring. After that, he's combined 30 touchdowns.
Seasons.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's found a home. Team. Playoff wins. All I choose John Brown. John thrown to the snapper.
Had a sub come in this week, Marty Friedman. Having played with
Not
John
a Megadeth fan.
Marty came in having never played with John, left the game with 8 catches.
There we go. Anyone else that I didn't mention? Anyone that comes to mind?
I've seen in Div D up till now, I think it's still early in this process. I know we like to do this whole quarterback top 5 or franchise builder right now. I think if you ask me this question, say week 6, week 7, I think I can have a more of a definitive answer who I think could be a franchise builder if you want to build your franchise around that quarterback.
That's fair.
That is the fair assessment as well. I don't have anyone else besides this. It's going to become more apparent, as Mo has mentioned, as the season starts to unfold. We'll see who's been a product of their schedule and who will really separate. We might even see QBs that have gone 0-2 or 1-1 really stand out and surpass these four thus far, these five.
Absolutely, and again, a lot of it's the teams they're playing with too. Like a guy that perennially would have been noted with a much weaker roster this season is, for example, Gianfranco Ronaldo, a guy who lower divisions has had amazing seasons. Who you might be able to roster around. He's just not getting the press right now because he's playing with some friends in a new
co-workers.
team. Absolutely. The most disruptive defenders, and I put in some rushers here. I put in some DBs. Devin Daou, Daniel Belfoy, Jonathan Chevalier, all rushers, all very disruptive to start with. Kwesi Gordon-Mall with I believe 3 interceptions already.
2 for 6.
Two of them for 6 exactly, and Sammy Beg as well. What are your
the ones that you haven't mentioned, because I feel like it's going to be redundant? Alex Joltepuff, great, really physical, really disruptive defender. Danny Alward, who has limbs for days. He can just stretch out.
On offense, he's the master of the push-off.
Yeah. Cornelius Furley, a player who doesn't
Conan O'Brien himself.
Yeah, a player who doesn't have the stats as much to back it up, but that's because QB simply will not throw to his side. It's so blatantly covered, you might that side completely. You mentioned Sammy Beg, Jeremy Anderson as well, two-way player of the year in higher divisions, absolutely fantastic. Disruptive defender, reads the ball really well. You can put him at rusher, you can put him at corner, you can put him at safety. Vadim Cherniak, leading in passes defended right now, has a ton of interceptions as well. Another player who doesn't have the stats to back it up, but who I'm a firm believer in due to his physicality, due to his size, JFFP, Jean-François Fortier-Poulin of Dagenais fame. He plays on Bromigos, as the blank stare in your face is enlightening me. And Mark Rinaldi of These Nuts has great field knowledge, very, very physical, but will jump those passes as needed. A couple others. Another one I have as an honorable mention, but I'd need to see him a little bit more. Tevin Nichols, one game he's played, 2 interceptions, read the ball perfectly in both of them, has great field awareness. I'd like to see more of him.
I agree. I kept him off my list for the same reason. I'd like to see him more. GM, so who would you build your franchise around on the defensive side of the ball?
Defensive side of the ball, definitely considering players I've played with in the past, Cherniak as well as Bryden Streeter. I'm going to mention him on the receivers as well. He's just as good as a defender as he is a receiver. Former defensive player of the year. Joel DePuff, Furley. You mentioned Dan Belfray. I would bring him in as my rusher. Jeremy Anderson. That's my defense right there.
One guy the cornerstone start with. Yeah.
I thought I was picking a whole defense.
Well, you listed the entire top 25.
Yeah, you listed every player in FBF in Division D.
So aside from anyone I play with, I'm going to go with...
Like your number 1 draft pick, let's say, if you're starting to picking for your defense.
Jeremy Anderson.
I'm going to go ahead with Daniel Belfoy. For me, he's just been one of the most disruptive rushers I've played against. He's got very good production season in, season out. And I always struggle to find rushers. So for me personally, it's got to be Dan Belfoy.
The second most important position in FPF.
Yeah, I say that the 3 most important positions all happen down the middle. With quarterback, snapper, rusher, in almost interchangeable order, but obviously quarterback important. Mo.
Look, I think Trinidad team, Hot Boys Hotline.
At Eagle.
Look, I think Trinidad's the guy to look at. Look, that's the thing. If he is his health, if he's healthy, he's a player, has great range out there. He could be a guy you can build upon. He's played more of the lower division.
I do agree with that as well. You have a backup quarterback. You have a center. He's someone who can actually play anywhere.
Fair. Now, given that his name is Telemac, does that mean he can mac from very far away? So, receiver of the, not receiver of the year, but rather some of the top receivers thus far and potential cornerstones for your offense. Some of the guys I pointed out were Joel Malkin, as you mentioned.
Without a doubt.
Earlier.
Receiver for Concordia. Great hands, great field knowledge, has the ability to separate from his defenders at a moment's notice.
And really leading D's nuts.
Got him. This is going to get old.
Anthony Lapointe of Warhawks, Matt Brown of Hooligans, Felix Gilardo of Sticky Hands, and Alex Hollowak at the sniper position from Bronx Bombers.
So players that you did not mention, because I had a few that overlapped there. Once again, Bryden Streeter, a player who's really evolving in FPF. He's magnificent talent. You know that there's nowhere to go but improvement with him. I think it would be incredible to see someone who could really take advantage of his speed and his ability to create separation. Another player in Warhawks that you didn't mention, well, there's two actually. Laurent Ladouceur, top tier talent.
Yeah, I was trying to choose one for team.
Played for
basically,
Team
yeah.
Quebec. Raphael Ducas-Lapalme as well. On your team, since you're not going to mention them, but I will. Anthony Adona, fantastic player, really,
Got
really
the same rating as
underrated.
Peas.
Oh,
right?
I'm not sure what's worse in that situation. Erhan Kip, after taking a season
Irfan.
off, is
I refuse to call him by his real name. Irfan Kip.
he's back. He's
Yeah.
just as incredible as ever.
And he runs like a bull. With the ball in his hands, like I don't want to flag him.
And the other two players who received votes for me, but I don't think are there yet, Louis Bégin, who I mentioned earlier, just because he's such a the Diablos are so reliant on him. He's such a product of that offense. And male or female, it doesn't matter. Audrey Desjardins is
agreed.
fantastic. She's a great receiver, runs deep passes, makes those catches. Someone we're going to have to look at in the future, and not just because of her gender.
Absolutely.
One player I will give you, your teammate, Khalil Kerr.
Khalil Kerr.
Starting running back at Vanier.
Young player, continues to grow, and once he figures out this league, he's going to be a dominant force.
I would definitely have to agree with you, since I haven't been choosing my own players, but definitely a great find, someone who was just coming into the league.
Who's definitely higher than his ranking that was given to him back in May.
Well,
You'll have to take that up with the ranking staff, which was not me.
No, but to be fair, there's nothing wrong with it. He's a new player. He got a new player ranking. We don't know how tackle players will translate to league, so I'm okay with his ranking. That being said, what I will say is Khalil is an amazing raw talent. For me, I need to see him develop. But, and I have with Kwesi, Gordon Mall, I think these two pieces, if they can become more disciplined players, will be dominant players in FPL.
Yeah, you often see that, not to give anything away from the FFFT offense, but you often see sometimes where the two of them will deviate from their routes more often than not because it was open. And that's something that we're trying to reel in and work on. They also lack height.
Yes, that's true. Well, they're running backs, right? That's kind of the thing.
I have 3 running backs on my team.
It's true. It's true. For me, I'm a big Alex Hollowback fan.
Yes, I as well.
just
You already
like
mentioned
using
him.
all over the place. He gives you also backup quarterback. He's
He
also
can't play,
better.
he's not eligible as quarterback
He's not
in
playing
Div
as-
D.
that's true,
However,
that's true.
he can give that input in the huddle. He knows how to call plays. He knows
he's a good
what
dude.
works and can develop a new quarterback like James Nowakowski.
I agree. GM, final thoughts.
I learned that time flies when you're really having fun.
I
'Cause I
didn't
really
ask
enjoyed
you
this.
what you learned. I asked for your final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Time
is that
flies.
I feel I'm thinking right now that time flies. An hour to do this.
That's right. We used to have an hour to do these shows. They took forever.
That's because it wasn't you and I.
Especially in the smoke.
That's true. No, that's pretty much it. For,
Shots fired.
That's pretty much it for this show. It's going up in flames, up in smoke, so to speak.
Coast to coast.
We're going from side to side. Thank you, GM. Thank you, Eagles, for all the work you've done. Before I sign off, however, I want to go for one this week. Am I going for one? Going for two? Remember, it's the upcoming game of the week. Next week, you'll get to vote on your Division D game of the week. For now, however, please feel free to vote in Division E. I highly recommend it. It's a great way to get involved. Choose the teams that you want to watch because we actually get a remarkable amount of hits in these games.
Just for new viewers, what exactly is Game of the Week?
Game of the Week is the game that we highlight in a specific week. If it sounds like it exactly is the title, that's because it exactly
It may
is the
very well
title
be.
implies.
And by highlight, we mean Ryan
So
Aridi
you
goes
can
and
get
films
Ryan
it.
Aridi, our resident photo taker when it's not me, rusher extraordinaire, films the game every week. It's voted on in advance, due largely to his availabilities of what he can film that week when he's not playing, but also the top tier teams. So right now you see of the votes in Division E, you see the 2-2-0 teams are one of the polls. You see a couple of 1-1 teams as well. It's voting on what you think is going to be the best game. It's filmed, it's edited, music is added to it, and it's posted to flagplusfootball.com. You can watch them. You can watch yourself catch touchdowns or drop them, as the case may be for me.
Only was game of the week. But honestly, it's a lot of fun. So definitely look forward to it for next week. But for now, do vote for Division E game of the week.
And a little added spice to it this year. Ray Starwar will be giving his post-game commentary on the game of the week.
Oh, that's awesome. That's excellent.
He's a stone's throw away right now. I can see him talking, but he can't hear us.
Awesome. So we'll thank Ray for
Ron.
trying to hear us. But we'll thank you, GM, for joining me. Thank you, Eagle, for all the work you've done. Thank you, Mo, for your notes throughout the show. And I wanted to thank you all for letting me be myself.
Do we have that music yet, or is that still irrelevant?
Really?